Good evening. Welcome to the Winthrop Town Council meeting for Tuesday, June 30th, 2026. We are in the Hardy hearing room. This meeting is available on Zoom. The meeting ID is 82066 827-964. Passcode is 509355 and the phone number is 309-205-3325. Now roll call please.
Council Costigan.
Here.
Council Tasneri.
Here.
Council Malone.
Here.
Council Dines.
Present.
Council Romano.
Present.
Council Reardon.
Here.
Council Finn. Vice President Spoke. President Lettieri.
Yeah. Seeing quorum, the meeting is called. Please stand for the pledge led by Vice President Swope, and please remain standing after.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. With deep sadness that I share the passing of Joseph Larry Powers. Larry was been a fire chief, been with the fire department since 1976. Promoted to lieutenant in 89, captain in 91, and then chief of the Winthrop Fire Department in 1996. Larry spent a total of 32 years on the Winthrop Fire Department. Then from 2009 to 2013, Larry was elected as a councilor at large for the Winthrop Town Council. He served with distinguishment, and he was always there for his constituents. From 2016 to 2021, Larry was the harbor master. Larry spent the better part of 50 years serving the town of Winthrop. He loved this town. He was a respectful man, had much dignity, was very well thought of throughout the town. Wish his family nothing but the best. And I ask you for a moment, please. Thank you. Minutes have been circulated from the June 9th meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilor Dimes, second by Councilor Romano. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Minutes have been approved. General information recommendations. We have two guests tonight. We will go first with our Veterans Agent and obviously also the chair of our Memorials Committee, Phil Ronan. So I will give you the floor.
Thank you, Phil.
Give you a minute to read about Mr. Catino.
You can go on.
All right, so I come here with two unanimous recommendations to the town council. First one being Manny Catino. For the people that have not lived in the town their whole life, as it says right there, Manny Catino opened the gym every Saturday morning from late 50s all the way through to mid 90s, 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 for all the young kids, even the people like myself that had no skill in basketball. And that list in front of you, Steve Mahoney could have compiled 5,000 people, but we didn't have the time. That's how many lives he impacted. Matter of fact, 6 of the people are in Greece playing an over 70 basketball tournament, and they're all products of that gym. I had a conversation with Mike Rizioni, and obviously, you know, that's going to be at some point the Mike Rizioni Center. There's going to be some renovations to the gym, and Mike was unanimously in favor of naming the court after Manny Catino. His quote to me was, "Phil, we spend every Saturday morning there." This guy immigrated from Portugal. He's a World War II veteran. He came, he opened the gym, he taught kids sportsmanship, teamwork, the importance of community. Later in life, he would help people actually get their legal citizenship in this country. And this went unnoticed for many, many years. And all of the people on that list and many, many more want him recognized for everything he did for the youth in the town. So that's the first proposal I have for you. The second proposal, I propose it as the chairman of the Memorials Committee. The second person is Richard Honan. My proposal to the committee was to put a street corner sign, and that will be coordinated, if approved, with Steve. He'll find a proper spot near Richard's house. I didn't need to do a handout for Richard Honan. 21 years of gift baskets at Christmas. Being a veteran and serving overseas, I can tell you how much a care package from home is cherished. And Richard did that for all those years when the Veterans Office didn't have the budget that I have today. It had a minuscule budget. Richard provided monetary resource to my predecessor. He still today provides support to me. Steve will attest to the fact that Richard put a medallion on a veteran that died before 1990. They don't get the flat bronze marker. He affixed it right to the granite stone for us. Richard does that and a million things more. Him and I chair the Memorials Committee, the Memorial Day activities, the Veteran Day activities, and then just, speaking in the schools and all the other stuff. I really don't need to go much more on Richard Honan. So both of these items were unanimously voted on by the Memorials Committee, 5-0, and we are recommending to the town council that you approve both of these items, and that's really it. I have one bit of information for you folks. We did have a third item on the agenda. It was in reference to the naming of the firehouse. There was a proposal from the chief, Calandra, to name it the Veterans Memorial Firehouse in memory of the 96 men that gave their lives in this town over the course of multiple wars. My committee decided that they wanted to get input from the firefighters and input from the firehouse building committee. So on September 23rd, in this room at 6 p.m., the Memorials Committee will hold a meeting, and we're looking to get input from the firefighters. And of course, you guys and gals are all welcomed also to name the firehouse. So that was just public information. There'll be an open meeting at the time. But back to the other thing, we greatly appreciate it if you see fit to approve both of those items that I brought forth today. Thank you all very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank
One
you.
second, Phil. If
Sure.
councilors have any questions for...
I should have
questions
asked if there's any question. I'm sorry.
on the two items that was brought up. We will have this on Vice President Schwartz.
Phil, I want your job.
Oh,
It's
I have the best,
terrific.
I have the
It's
best job in the
terrific.
world,
You
let me
do.
tell you.
It's so
Yeah.
nice to hear.
Yeah.
Such great things about the people that you bring forward. Thank you so much.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Can I make a motion to take these recommendations out of order? Do it now while he's still here.
Thank you very
I'd like
much.
to make that motion then.
Sure. Motion by, it's been Council Rose, take this out of order. It's been motion by Council Romano, seconded by Council Tassanari. Any discussion on the motion? Should we take them separately or do you want to take them together? All right, we will take them together. We'll take that out of order first. Yes, all those in favor of taking it out of order?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is passed. And at least I don't see a motion.
Move the minutes, it shows you where to.
The motion coming out of the memorials. There is a motion coming out of the memorials committee to name the middle school gym. Name the basketball court after
Holy.
basketball court after Manuel and Tina. There was also a subsequent motion as part of this coming out of the memorials committee to have a street sign somewhere near Johnson and Terrace after Richard Honan. Both of those came out of the memorials committee. There's a motion that has been made by Councilor Romano. There's a second by Vice President Swope. Councilor Tassinari. Any discussion on this motion?
No.
All right, before we vote, I would just say great job done by the memorials committee.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
your time
Thank
and
you.
effort.
We try to do our best.
Yes,
you know?
thank you,
Thank
thank you.
you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Phil.
all very much, I can't thank you enough. Very important on both of those matters. All right, have a good evening. I'm gonna go watch the World Cup if I don't fall down. Thank you all. Hey, Joe.
Now we will ask Woodward and Curran to come up to the desk, please. And we have a presentation from our engineers, Woodward and Curran. Dan Scott, Robert Angelo, and I'm not sure of the third. And they're here to talk to us about the engineering progress at Tylerson and Girdlestone. There'll be a presentation, I believe. Denise, you're ready? Okay, can we put it on those?
Stay tuned. Hold on, please.
Hey, thank you guys for being here, much appreciated. It's a much anticipated project. We're very anxious to hear the updates and sort of timeframe is how we go forward from here. The floor is yours.
Thanks for having us here tonight. I'm Dan Scott, I'm the project manager.
If you could just speak up a little bit.
Sure.
Bob Angelo, technical manager.
I'm Jim Ravad, Vice President with Woodward and Curran.
So we're here tonight to give you a project update. We've been working hard at this for a couple of years now and have a lot of progress that's been made and some positive updates to share tonight. Give path forward a little. So we're going to go over an overview of the project, familiarize everyone with where it is and what we're doing. Then we're going to dig into the outfall location selection. And from there, we're going to talk about what we've completed to date and what we're working on currently. And then at the end, we'll go over schedule and cost for the project. So overview of the project. So location is at Girdlestone and Towson Road area. That polygon there shows you the general project location. We're in a low-lying coastal neighborhood next to Winthrop Harbor. The storm drains discharge to the harbor through outfalls area. It's influenced by tidal levels in the harbor, so during high tides, the stormwater harbor is at the same height as or higher than the outfall pipe. So this is a schematic of what the contributed watershed area is for this project area. So the The green outline there shows the catchment for the stormwater. So every time it rains, when the rain hits the ground, it's going to travel towards the outfall through a drainage network of pipes. The existing drainage all congregates to a 12-inch outfall next to Captain Jack's in that center left part of the picture there. So when you have an inch of rain, it all over that whole area has to get conveyed by the drainage system, which is a big challenge given the size of the existing pipes. It lacks capacity. You have a 12-inch outfall, which is relatively small, speaking to the breadth of that whole area. One thing that's important about elevations here, the neighborhood low point on Girlstone Road, right in the middle there, with the small circle, that's at elevation 7. During high tide, on average, we're right around 5 feet. When it's a high tide, we're almost at 7 feet. So we're almost at that same elevation as the neighborhood low point, which presents a huge conveyance of stormwater challenge.
Yeah, and it certainly does present a challenge. The streets are experiencing ponding during heavy and moderate rainfall events. As Dan kind of alluded to, the existing system is not sized adequately for today's rainfall intensities as well as today's design standards. And it's heavily influenced by the tide. Dan did a good job of kind of describing the elevations of the tide. They're roughly right around 5 to 7 range for a typical high tide. And the figure on the right kind of shows how the drainage system would operate relative to that tide. So up above at low tide, it may be able to drain by gravity freely because the low tide is way down. But once the high tide comes up, that starts surcharging your system and filling the drainage network. So there's nowhere for the water to go. There's no space in the drainage system to collect it. And the elevations matter here because, like we've been talking about, if that high tide's between 5 and 7, that low point on Girdlestone being at elevation 7, there's that tide water that's surcharging is getting almost up to existing grade in that location. So this is a problem because it starts ponding in the roadway, which is dangerous for vehicle traffic. It limits access for emergency responders, right? It can also cause property damage. Additionally, some of the infrastructure in this area is taxed by this. So there's significant infrastructure and utility improvements needed for the project. So what are we thinking about doing? We're gonna relocate the outfall, move it someplace more remote that allows for easier access, and also help with some potential pumping operations if needed beyond the design storm. We're upsizing we're putting in bigger pipes, so we're upsizing and increasing capacity for flow and volume storage during a design storm event. The design storm event for this is targeted at a 10-year, 24-hour event, and just to kind of give that order of magnitude, that's about 5 inches of rainfall over a 24-hour period. And that's consistent with Mass DOT's project planning guidelines. So pretty consistent for this type of roadway drainage system. And one of the biggest and most important parts of this is putting in backflow prevention on the outfall to prevent that tidal surcharge and prevent the tide from controlling the water level in the drainage system. So this is kind of just another schematic of what it's going to look like. Like I said, we're going to upsize the pipes. So we've only drawn the main conveyance lines here. So we'll have larger pipes going down Tileston, Girdlestone. All of the periphery drainage will be tied in, the catch basins and so on and so forth. And then it will run down Pleasant going north toward the Pleasant Street Yacht Club, where we found a pretty remote area that's away from a lot of properties, and there's pretty easy maintenance access to this now larger outfall. So how does the drainage system work? It works just like a typical gravity system. It's collected by catch basins. We'll note that we're adding catch basins on this project to try and get reduce spread and get water off the road quicker. It's going to then flow through these upsized pipes and then discharge to the harbor, which is equipped with the backflow prevention, and that's important. And you can see on this figure on the right, this kind of shows you how the backflow prevention works. So during low tide, water is able to freely drain through it. The tide gate opens up, lets the water out, and during high tide, when it's up at that 5.7 elevation, that stays closed. This is where the upsized pipes become important because it's able to hold and store a little bit more water, and the system can actually build up and discharge to a tailwater condition with this backflow prevention. But it's just a much more controlled outfall configuration, which is required for kind of coastal outfall.
Next, we'll talk through the outfall location selection that Bob alluded to at the Pleasant Park Yacht Club. So we went through a 4-step process to arrive at that location. So first logical spot to look was the existing location. That presented some constrained issues that had us move on to step 2. I'll go into more details about these in the following slides. The alternate site was at the Pleasant Park Yacht Club at 562 Pleasant Street. We were able to talk to the yacht club and work with them to identify a couple potential locations to construct that new outfall. Once we had their buy-in that this could be a viable location, we identified 2 different alternative locations within that location. One being through the middle of the parking lot, the other one on the northern part of that parcel in that open area that Bob was mentioning. From there, we made our selection. So this was the existing location. So as you'll see, it's beneath the Captain Jack's Viking Marina. So a pipe beneath building is very unideal. It presents a lot of challenges for maintenance and not something anyone would ever recommend. We looked through the feasibility of trying to replace it in this existing location, and it is not a great constructible option. Next slide, please. So next, we looked at staying in that same vicinity. This makes a lot of sense to explore. We already have an existing main system going here, basements in this area. This we looked at as well, and you can see a planet profile view here showing how tight the site is. So you see that on the right picture, you have 2 adjacent buildings to this corridor. There's retaining walls in that area, and it's only about 12 feet wide. So in order to put in this 48-inch pipe, that corridor is way too tight to be able to try to construct a pipe and not have it also cost a ton too. From multiple angles, this is not an ideal location. And trying to mobilize it in there and construct a lock dam in this area would be extremely challenging and not something I would recommend pursuing. So that brought us over to the yacht club. So the first location we talked through with them was going through the center of the parking lot. This was deemed too disruptive to their day-to-day operations for parking for members of the yacht club. So then we looked at this alternate location, which was shifted to the north and has a head wall, a dredged channel. This was identified as the best option for this location, for this outfall. I'll explain some of the benefits on the next slide. So this selected alternative 2, doesn't have an offshore run. Their option would be to extend it offshore, which causes a few issues with maintenance and maintaining it over the long term. Also, we were able to put in a tide gate right at that location, which is very easy for the town to maintain. That location is also very easy for them to get in and out of, being away from the yacht club and the boats that are staged there. If ever an emergency situation, they'd be able to get to it. Also, it's back, like it's not extended out, so it's not exposed to waves, the boats that are trying to traverse through there. And then it's also with that location of controlled discharge that goes right out to riprap. So next we'll talk through some of the specifics of this site and then talk through some of the next steps of the project.
Right, so although it is the recommended location. It is still challenging. It's still pretty fairly tight area. These are pretty large structures we're putting in between the head wall, the pipes, the manholes. They're going down pretty deep. So we anticipate that there's going to be a need for a cofferdam for both supportive excavation and then also control of water. If you haven't seen a cofferdam, this is kind of what it looks like on the right. So you're basically able to drive these sheets down, or other means. There's other types of cofferdams as well, but we're just showing a sheet pile one for now. That allows the contractor to work in the dry, excavate down deep, and perform their construction in the dry. And this is really needed in marine areas where you're in a really constrained space and working with some of these large type structures. And just to kind of give a graphic to it, this is kind of what the duckbill tide gate looks like. So as I mentioned, before water can pond up during low tide, that valve will open up and discharge freely, and then during high tide it closes and doesn't. It's kind of like a glove or like your fist. It'll open up and kind of close like that during high tide, so water won't be able to surcharge the system. And these are very common this type of application. And I guess one of the benefits, if you go back real quick, as Dan kind of alluded to, this location does have ease of maintenance where they'll be able to get access right off of Pleasant Street, kind of get down to the outfall to maintain this tide gate.
There's also more space for them to actually construct it too. Comparing it to the other locations, a lot more construction. All right, so completed tasks and ongoing tasks. There's four main tasks ongoing and have been progressed. So the first was site investigation work, so existing conditions, survey, and geotechnical explorations. We still have a little bit more to do there, but it's all substantially complete. We just need to get some more information related to the final outfall location now that we've selected it. We're moving through the permitting process. We've had our pre-application meetings with various regulators. Now we're in the process of filing those applications that are critical to the project, getting designed and permitted in that manner. So that's ongoing. While that's ongoing, design. So our drainage collection and conveyance system is complete at this point. We're focusing on wrapping up water main, sewer, roadway, and then another activity moving in concert with the rest is easement. So we've completed a survey, needs about survey of the easement. The town is in the process of working with the yacht club for coming to an agreement and recording that easement registry deeds. Next, we'll talk through schedule and cost. There's items that are within our control and several that are outside of our control. Those ones outside of our control mainly reside with regulators and any conditions that they place upon us based on their rules and regulations. And they also have differing time durations for their review. The amount of times they might go back and forth with revisions. Things within our control are all the engineering elements, design of all the infrastructure and all the modeling and calculations associated with those, and pulling together those permits in a timely fashion and coordinating with regulators to try to expedite as much as possible. So we have three main tasks here in our schedule. So our permitting is ongoing and expected to be complete in April next year. And our design is progressing and going to be going on, as I mentioned, in concert with the permitting after back from the regulators and some of that existing conditions information. That puts us in position to bid the project in May and then work through the award of the contract, the submittal process, and targeting an October start date for the construction. And currently, our estimated cost for the construction of the drainage infrastructure included in this project is between $4 and $4.5 million. That concludes our presentation tonight. If you have questions, we're happy to talk through those with you at this point in time.
Okay, I'll go through the council in a minute. I just, again, want to thank you guys for coming out. It's been a very concise and prompt presentation. It's much appreciated. Anticipated project. Forward. A couple of things you mentioned. You said bigger pipes, larger pipes. You did say at 1.48 inch pipe at the end. Any other dimensions getting to that point that are going to increase? And you all, and I'll ask a second part. You also mentioned additional catch basins. How many additional catch basins is the capacity?
Right. So the drainage system will vary in size. It's not going to be 48 inch everywhere. The size of the pipes will range for the main line. I'll discuss. Like the laterals will be probably 12 or 15 inch, but the main line is going to roughly range from 24 inch to 42, and then the outfall pipe and a large portion of Pleasant Street will be 48.
And what are they now?
They are currently 8 to 10 inch clay pipes, and with the outfall being 12. Put it into some perspective. And I guess to share a little bit more perspective on that, 12-inch pipe can convey, I think it's like 2 CFS roughly, and the 48-inch will be able to convey over 100 CFS under similar conditions.
Cubic feet per second.
Yes. So,
There's increase in the capacity.
yeah, significantly.
Shane mentioned we're putting two drains in Girdlestone.
Yeah, so
One
Girdlestone,
now, we're gonna put two.
and that's attributed to some of the cover issues due to the topography. Like we mentioned before, it's pretty low. It's also really flat in that area. So there are some cover issues. You want to maintain a certain amount of depth for the pipes for structural integrity of the pipes. So we've had to split it up at this stage to maintain that. They're pretty large pipes, so if you can imagine putting a big pipe underground, there's not much room. So we're splitting it up to have two.
Thank you. Councilor Costigan.
Yes, thank you, Town Council President. There's a lot here. It's a big, obviously a very big project. Somewhat surprised it's this large. And it's incorporating other areas as well. By the way, great presentation. Thank you for all that information. First issue at hand is the easement. You did show the current easement that runs at the end of Girdlestone. And let's not forget why we're here. The issue is Girdlestone and the flooding on Girdlestone. We're now incorporating other areas of that location itself and incorporating them into a 48-foot line now. But back to the easement. There are construction techniques that can get a pipeline through that area. I mean, we're in the 21st century as far as I'm concerned. I know there's been construction, there's buildings on that easement as well. Has it been entertained that we maybe skirt ourselves a little bit to the left or the right of that area? I know it's 12 feet wide, but I know you're talking a 4 feet diameter pipeline. Is it possible to construct or run a smaller pipeline through that area that currently exists as the easement to avoid the $4 to $5 million in cost, let alone resolve the issue on Girdlestone exponentially as it relates to just a smaller pipe? They're doing it now with the DPW with a powered 3-inch hose pipe. This is far more than solving the Girdlestone problem itself. And again, timing is of essence here. I don't think we've even hit some of the tropical storms that are probably en route here. We're talking 2027 of May. Start the construction. So in the interim, we've been pumping that area for years now, and we're looking for a quick resolve. The people down in that area as well are looking for a quick resolve. We're now going to incorporate Pleasant Street in. We now have to buy out the easement or some type of negotiation with the Pleasant Park Yacht Club to cut through their property. So I making a mountain out of a molehill as far as I'm concerned. Let alone the cost. I mentioned that before. $4 to $6 million, I think, is where it's going to come in. I'm not happy about that. I'm looking to get that solved as soon as possible. Now we have to float a bond and so forth and so on. Money's an issue, of course. Everything's an issue of late. But with that, in addition to that, the permits. Now we go through an extensive permitting program to get easements and get get our piping and get all of our discharges in that area completed. Now we have to go through the state. We know the state loves us right now. And again, the larger pipe itself, again, I would question the fact that I'm not sure that the pipes are 10 inches and 10-inch diameter pipes on Pleasant Street. I'd be surprised about that if that's, I believe, the number you gave me, 10-inch.
Along Tileston and Girdlestone, they're 8 to 10 inch.
Yeah, I
Through the outfall, it's 12, and I'd have to look it up.
I think you quoted Pleasant Street as having 10-inch plate pipes.
Yeah.
It was not, right? It's
Well, it goes from Girdlestone to the outfall, current outfall,
yes.
12-inch pipe. To Pleasant Street at 12-inch, to Pleasant Street down to 8-inch.
Okay.
It's all clay pipe. And all due respect, Councilor, you're focusing strictly on the outfall pipe. This is 100-year-old clay pipe. So it's a capacity issue in addition to the outfall pipe. So you get infiltration, inflow infiltration, groundwater inflow infiltration, tidal inflow infiltration. There's no capacity. You can see the rain that we just had, very short duration. It plunged. We had to pump because this pipe network does not have the capacity to take the volume of water.
And I understand that, Mr. DPW Director, but that pipe that's there existing now is compromised. It's been compromised for years. So now we're really enlarging this overall program. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for. I mean, what we should do every problem area in this town, which of course is the idea of Benny. But what is the fiscal responsibility here if we can do it? At least solve the problem for the people down in Girdlestone and Tileston. Other than putting this massive project underway. So I think it would be probably the people in Girdlestone and Tileston who would be the ultimate people to approve this, let alone the people in Winthrop and the council. I get all of that, but it just urged me to know we have an easement already that's been compromised as far as the pipes, and there's buildings over it. I mean, who allowed that? Who allowed that to happen? Where's the oversight of this building in Winthrop? I mean, how long ago were those built?
Council Costigan, Woodward and Curran did not build over those. If we could just keep.
I
our
understand,
questions
town
to
council
the
president, but you have to ask these questions in order to get to the answers. And I'll end up ending it. I know we're having a larger pipe here. I get asked several months ago if this was going to incorporate other areas. I was told no. That was from the town manager. And now, we're looking at other collection areas coming in. So people of Girdlestone, I don't know how fast it's going to be cured. This has to be approved. So there's a lot to do here permit-wise as well. And, I apologize. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's no comments, no.
Oh, no comments.
No
Okay, I only live there and I get my house
There is
destroyed.
no comments. You can
Okay,
comment during
okay,
public
okay,
comment.
Jim. Good, Jim.
Councilor
Good job.
Tassinari.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you all for your presentation tonight. We really appreciate it. I do have a lot more questions, but none of them pertain to the presentation. It was really well done, and I think it's important to look at the project not just as a solve for the folks on Tileston and Girdlestone, but as a long-term commitment to the hardening of the town. If we want to save our town, it's not just two streets. If we want to save our town from tidal inundation and floodwater inundation, this is a great way to start. The price point is a lot higher than I thought we were going to come in at when we initially undertook this 4 years ago, at least 3 years. But that's where we have to be to gain the capacity that the director was explaining and these gentlemen were explaining in the stormwater drainage system. And I think that capacity is important, especially when it's right on the title, right in the title. In the low-lying area, I didn't know that the low-lying area was right at the level of the tide, right on Girdlestone Street. It's like, might as well just go for a swim.
Ask me anytime you want, I can tell you all about the street.
I would request that we have a full presentation and hearing on the easement agreement with the Pleasant Park Yacht Club when that is finalized. But I think the only question I have left for you folks is if we followed Councilor Costin's recommendation and tried to use the existing easement or the area that's to the left of the existing building that's over the current pipeline, would that not still require us to go get all the same permitting and all the same design and all the same waiting period that we're gonna have to work through with the state and everyone else? If we're gonna repair that existing outflow or create another outflow on the same easement, would we not need the same number of permits and approval from state and DEP and everything else that we're gonna need for this project?
Yeah, so what I would say to that, I guess it's two-pronged, right? For maintenance of the existing outfall, it might be less substantial permitting. However, you're always gonna have that long-term maintenance access issue. So if something happens to the pipe, it gets compromised, you guys are back to square one. If you wanted to go skirt to the left and create a new outfall, it would require the same permit.
But at the end of the day, we're not gonna have access to maintenance. We're not gonna have the expanded capacity if we were trying to use the same lines.
Yeah.
So it's not. I don't think a quick fix is the right solution to this issue, and I apologize to the people on Towson and Girlstone, but if we can get it fixed right the first time and not have to do it 6 or 7 other times, I think it's a good use of the funding. That's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I think I see some people from Towson and Curlstone in the audience right now. And it's probably good that they got to see some of this also. I know sometimes it's hard to hear that big dollar figure, but looking at that and understanding more about it, it's really planning more for the future also, not just current state and what will fix current state. And that's where I'm kind of thinking when I was seeing some of that is that, you know, we have the flooding issues that we have now, and it's horrible and it's terrible to see what's happened to that whole area. The timeline, I wish we could get it done a lot faster. But to see this, and it would actually plan a bit more for the future of the area with the issues that we are seeing surrounding the whole town in different areas flooding. I think that's good. And I think there's this, when you start talking about keeping the current easement, the maintenance on it, I'm big on maintenance. So if we have a hard time trying to maintain something, we can't get in there and maintain it on a timely schedule, there's issues. This way, this would alleviate that and it would be able to be done. Plus, fitting into that area, even with the current technology, I started looking into it, underground borrowing and all that, you're still talking a lot of money to bring specialty equipment in to do it. So, the sad part is we can't get it done tomorrow. It is gonna take time. So I appreciate everything you presented, and hopefully there's a little better understanding for the people in the area about this. Thank you.
Councilor Dimes?
Thank you, Town Council President. Thank you for the presentation, wonderful, very well done, and explanations for every avenue. I really enjoyed it, thank you. I fully support this project, and I do understand everything that this stormwater system encompasses, and the adjoining streets, and I know that it might not have been clear that this area encompasses all of that drainage, all goes to that outfall, so it's crucial that we dig up the streets and put in larger pipes for the whole surrounding area that goes to this new outfall. The new outfall location is, in my eyes, the only option. Just the engineering and shoring up of the buildings to even get in between Captain Jackson and the marina is not anything I would even imagine that we would consider. The liability alone would be astronomical. So thank you for the alternate site. I think it's wonderful, and I think that the Towson, Girdlestone folks will be happy with the resolution with this project. Do you think that this requires a full Chapter 91 license? Do we have any licensing down there, or is this gonna be a whole new for the outfall?
I think it's a
Whole new, okay.
Yeah. There is an existing one on that property, but because the
Right,
completion of the easement, I think that it warrants a new one, especially if there are future enhancements or modifications to it that are needed. You want to be able to have that separate to the town to be able to a revision or modification to your license, not
Thank you.
the,
Do you have a timeline of when you could consider putting this through Concom so that the MIPA could get going, or is that
Yeah, I
not
do,
enough?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'm happy to get you that information.
Thank you.
Councilor Romano?
Yes, I'd also like to thank you for the presentation. I would have liked to have gotten it sent to us beforehand, so it would have been easier for us to follow along instead of just looking at the screens. But overall, I appreciate your presentation. I don't have any questions right now, but I would also like to add, this is more for the council president. I think it would make sense that we listen especially to the the residents in these areas. And I know we have some residents here tonight. I'd like to hear from them and them to be able to ask questions to these engineers. I know that's at the discretion of the president, but I don't know why we wouldn't do that. Why we have some people here, and I think people who want to speak. But that's up to you, Council President.
Councilor Inn?
Thank you for the presentation. My only concerns are for the easement location. I wanna make sure that we don't have a repeat of another building popping up on top of this thing in 10, 15 years down the road, we're in the same situation. Also, the location of that lot's full of boats at the end of the season all winter. Mr. Calla has to get his equipment in there. We don't want to have to be waiting for cranes to move boats so we can get equipment in there. So I would hope that the easement specifies a right of way, and also nothing's, from your map, it looks like you're gonna have manhole covers over there. We need to make sure they're not storing things for the winter on top of these covers that we can't get access in the event of a problem. Because that's just gonna delay the pain and suffering for everybody while they're trying to get in there and fix the problem. That would be my only concern.
And I will say that,
Vice President Swope, no, I'm sorry. Thank you all very much, I appreciate it. When you were thinking about all the possibilities and you're weighing the price versus the result, what was your thinking about that? Can you go through any of the iterations that you went through and then cancel those out? I think most of them was on the easement, I take it. That was a big issue. Once you decided that, then the rest of it was different. 48-inch pipe seems pretty big to me. I don't know. Do we have 48-inch pipes anywhere else in the town?
the Amsterdam project is 48, 60.
Where are they? Are they down?
They're down the center, they discharge to Donovan.
Sorry,
They discharge to the outfall at Donovan's Beach,
okay.
which also needs.
Yeah, so it's really controlled by the tide. There's kind of this sweet spot when you're discharging or trying to discharge at high tide where you're having to store that event. So if a storm event comes during high tide, you really need the pipes to be upsized for storage. Because some of it might be able to be discharged with a tailwater condition, but not all of it. So it's not really acting like a 48 pipe in that, it's acting really as storage for the system. So the water will sit in there, and then when the tide recedes, it's able to release.
So many could experience flooding at low tide though.
Not at low tide, I wouldn't anticipate it
That
for
never
the
happens.
design storm event that we're looking at.
10-year event.
So when it's low tide, those people never experience flooding.
They shouldn't.
They should. I have heard that sometimes when it's low tide, they do have flooding, that's why I'm asking the question.
Currently they
Oh,
do.
I bet they do. I bet they do. That they have flooding. I know they're pumping today, but they're pumping.
We have flooding no matter what the tide
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
That's the capacity issue.
The capacity, the pipes are just too small. So even when it's not even controlled by the tide. And when the tide is high, obviously it's worse.
Sure.
But
It can be flooded then
the
when it's.
size of the pipes is just too small, that's the problem, which is why Steve has to have his crews out there pumping.
And one more question, when you were asked to do this project, what was the charge? Was it fix the flooding in that area? What was the charge that you were asked to?
Really focused on looking at the stormwater flooding caused by rainfall in the area.
The whole area?
Yeah, specifically
Not just Middlesummer and Towson.
specifically the problem areas, I think, but it's attributed to that larger subject.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I mean, you guys really decide what we're gonna do here. So they were charged with fixing the drainage area, fixing the outfall, but for that entire watershed, right? You can't just fix an outfall pipe and not fix the entire watershed that feeds the outfall pipe.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the scope of.
And I'll take responsibility for that.
I just wanna know what the
You wanna
scope of the
fix the
work
problem,
was,
that's
so
what you
that we didn't think that we were ever just going to, this was not a project just to fix Girlstone, Towson, is that correct? It was, to fix the entire watershed. Area.
I think it's to stop the flooding mainly at Towson and Goldstone, but it encompasses the area. And I just want to address a couple of things as far as public comment on this. I am not taking public comment on this at this information session. This is a general information session. I will commit to having a public hearing, and hopefully Woodward and Covenant would be back before the end of the summer, so we could take questions and people could digest this information and take and have more concise and proper questions. I will also say that at least over the last 2 years that we've been going through this, I think that $4 to $4.5 million figure, that is, what I've heard from the DPW director, which is pretty much in line with what we expect. I think to do any substantial project like this or anything else, and this goes back, I think Councilor Millar talked about, making sure if we're going to do a project, do it right, and make sure we look past this and make sure that we're going to be able to address any potential issues. But to put a Band-Aid on this and to half-ass, for lack of a better expression, to half-ass this project, to not do it correct, it's just a detriment to the residents and a detriment to the citizens. That totally. I also think Councilor Reardon brought up some really good points on the easement, that we have to make sure that's buttoned up, just to let everybody know the easement will be passed by the council before anything is done. So the council will have a say to make sure we understand the easement, understand the cost, and the cost comes down to repaving the siding, repaving the parking lot, or whatever it is. But the comments by Councilor Reardon, which I'm sure have thought about, but those are good comments, because during the winter time, when a lot of the issues come, not accessible. But again, I do want to thank you immensely. I do ask you to come back before the summer's ending, so we can have a public hearing and have more than two, but a lot of residents here to be able to ask proper questions. And Councilor Romano did bring up, and I think you sent it to the town manager, but if we could have a presentation in a timely manner, maybe a day or two before this, so we can have a chance, to really, I know you're going to present it, you're going to talk about it, but it's good to be able to have questions ready based on information that we've been able to get. So I appreciate that comment. And again, thank you very much for your comment and presentation.
Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now we have public hearings. We have 4 public hearings. First one, I will open. The town council transfer $250,000 from general stabilization fund to snow and ice account. Councilor Casanaro.
Thank you, Council President. This motion comes from the town manager Marino. I move the town council transfer $250,000 from general stabilization fund to the below snow and ice related account to close out the remaining deficit that occurred in FY26, or take any other action there too. The move from the capital stabilization fund is $250,000 to the snow and ice manpower line item for $250,000. The remainder in the capital stabilization fund after the motion will be $5,837,690. It did come out of the Finance Committee with a positive recommendation this evening.
And I will say this is, obviously we had a pretty tough winter. DPW director just stepped out, but the initial budget for snow and ice is $135,000. So if you add $250,000, that's $385,000 for snow and ice, which is substantial for a town like Winthrop, not substantial for the city of Boston.
Yeah, which,
Mr. President, in the following motion is another
yeah, the
248,000.
This- No, I understand.
Yeah, so
But I'm saying.
we're not done. Yeah.
No, we're not done. But the fact is that, this is substantial for a town of our size and much more than we've seen in previous years, but understandably so too. Look at just a typical sanding event. If we have some icy weather or whatever, that's a minimum of $10,000 just to go through the town and sand. So when you're looking at some of the incredible amount of snowfall we had in events, it's to be expected. Vice President Swope?
I asked.
About this.
Comment, yeah, what was the budget for snow and ice last year?
It's always been 135, we leave it at that same number. Knowing, because that's the one, the line item that the state allows us to deficit spend, so even if we go over, we can still overspend it and then try to balance the budget later.
Yeah, usually if you go under it, you.
But yeah, that number's been 135 since I got
Right,
it.
so you
And this
keep-
started at 60,000 a number of years ago, several years ago, and it goes up. But the thing is, once you try to be more, concise in your measuring, you can't go back
No,
down.
I just thought it was much more than that.
No, it was 135.
Okay, thank you.
Any comments from the public in favor of general stabilization? Anyone opposed? All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
This is from the general stabilization fund, because the amounts that we have here are from the capital stabilization fund. The balances on the motion list the balance from the capital stabilization, not from the general stabilization.
I think that's labeled incorrectly.
I think it's labeled the 6 million.
Yeah, 6 million is what we have in our general state.
General stabilization.
Yeah, I think it's just labeled incorrectly.
That's just the labels, okay, because I read it, when I read it, I did read capital.
Yeah, Zoom. Robbie, are you there?
Hi, it's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Sorry, I think we just labeled this wrong.
Mislabeled.
Just labeled.
Okay, so it is the general
It's the general
stabilization,
stabilization,
yeah.
because that's the balance in the
Yes,
general.
We
yes.
definitely do not have 6 million.
Sorry about that.
So I'll read that again for after the motion, the general stabilization fund will be at a balance of 500, there we go, adding hundreds of millions, $5,837,690. General stabilization.
Great, thank you. I will close this public hearing and I will entertain a motion from Councilor Romano to suspend council rules and take this motion out of order. Is there a second to that?
Second.
By Councilor Dimes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those say aye.
Aye.
No, the ayes have it. So there is a motion that the town council transfer $250,000 from general stabilization fund to the below snow and ice related account to close out the remaining deficit that occurred in fiscal '26 or take any other action relative thereto. That did come out of committee with positive recommendation, does not require a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Council Costigan.
yes.
Council Tassinari.
Yes.
Council Malad.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion passes. I will open another public hearing for the town council to vote to modify general fund budgets to facilitate closing of fiscal '26. Councilor Tassinari.
Thank you, Council President. This is another motion from Manager Marino. I move the town council vote to modify the following general fund budgets to facilitate the June 30, 2026 closing of the 2026 fiscal year or take any other action relative thereto. This is a normal course of business. The manager is requesting that the council reallocate $444,906 across 9 funding sources into 10 other separate funding sources for the same amount. 2 of those being snow and ice related, one for the snow and ice snow removal supplies for $196,000, one for snow and ice manpower, $52,876. This also came out of the finance committee meeting with a positive recommendation.
Again, this brings the total snow and ice budget up to about $633,000 for the year, for the fiscal year '26, which is as much, if not more, than any year recent memory that I've had. So
2015 numbers.
Yeah, and I do thank W. George and his crew for getting us through that winter. Discussion. Council testimony.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to second your thanks to the DPW for handling all that snow this winter and for our police and fire who did respond to several emergencies during that time as well. So they all are working. They're working hard for all of us in town.
Anyone wish to be heard from the public as a proponent or open proponent of this? All right, I will close that public hearing. I will entertain a motion from Councilor Romano to suspend council rules and take this out of order. Is there a second? Second by Vice President Swope. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And there is a motion that the town council vote to modify the following general fund budgets to facilitate the June 30th, 2026 closing of the fiscal 26 year. I'll take any other action relative thereto. The funding sources are coming from Town Council Reserve, $50,000, Regional Dispatch, $80,292.31, Northeast Regional Vocational School, $114,107, Essex Tech, $2,191, property insurance, $80,000, unemployment, $20,000, group insurance, the town, $77,714, and pension appropriation of $600, and the night differential from the police of $20,000 for a total of $444,906. And the destinations are personnel for ATM and grants, assistant town manager and grants, $2,000, personnel, MIS, $1,000, software annual licensing costs, $10,000, repairs, maintenance, buildings, purchases, services, building maintenance, $20,000, processing services, $3,000, repairs, maintenance of infrastructure, $65,000, charter school sending tuition, $75,000, snow and ice manpower, $52,876, snow removal supplies, $196,029, and police station repairs for AC, $20,000. Again, that total is balance of $444,906. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Counselor Costigan.
Yes.
Counselor Castaneri.
Yes.
Counselor Milan.
Yes.
Counselor Dines.
Yes.
Counselor Romano.
Yes.
Counselor Reardon.
Yes.
Counselor Finn. Vice President Swope. President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion passes. We will open another public hearing for the town council to vote to appropriate $110,000 in certified free cash. Council Tassin.
Thank you, Council President. This motion is from Manager Marino. I move that the town council vote to appropriate certified free cash as listed below. Take any other action there too. We're going to appropriate from free cash $110,000 to the compensated absence reserve fund for $60,000, the OPEB trust fund for $50,000. Free cash currently at $619,388, less the FY27 capital plan set aside $500,000, less the current $110,000 request, will leave in the FY26 free cash $9,388.
Thank you. Questions from the council?
This also came out of committee with the positive recommendation.
So these are going to two line items, basically compensated absence reserve fund, which is a fund that is set aside to cover the cost of any town employees that are retiring that have a balance or a contractual obligation. And also it's for the OPEB trust fund. We talk about it a lot. What a fantastic job we've done with our retirement funds and how we're fully vested and over 102% right now. OPEB trust is another fund that cities and towns just owe tens, hundreds of millions of dollars to. But we try to make appropriations whenever it's possible. And this is one of the times that we do it every year. We throw in $50,000, we take it out of a couple of enterprises also during that. So again, this shows good faith effort on the town, on the part of the town. So I appreciate the finance team for making sure that we do that. Anybody from the public? Proponent?
Alexander Precinct 2. You just mentioned you take funds out of an enterprise fund to fund that.
Not, well, part of the, what do I put that for?
You talking about the OPEB liability? Yeah, we take out the enterprise, like just a portion to cover whatever employees are working in that enterprise fund. And there's an OPEB liability that goes along with that, so just funds the individual.
It's taking the employees' portion of that and funding it from the enterprise
That
fund
work
itself.
again,
Right, so water and sewer would be.
We're talking about small.
But again, you know, when you say taking money out of an enterprise fund where our water rates are going up all the time, it's very concerning to people, okay? So.
Well, it's not taking money that isn't used, isn't, you know, it's not just taking money because it's there, it's taking money to account for the people that are working.
So there's an existing liability.
But you glossed over it, you didn't explain it.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it. All right, I will close that public hearing. I'll entertain a motion from Councilor Romano to suspend council rules and take this out of order. Second by Councilor Dimes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. There's a motion that the town council vote to certified free cash is listed below or take any other action relative thereto. Funding source would be free cash, $110,000, and the funding destinations would be constant. Compensated absence reserve fund of $60,000 and OPEB trust fund of $1,000 for a total of $115,000. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Castaneri.
Yes.
Council Malott.
Yes.
Council Dines. Yes. Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope. President Lettieri.
Yes, motion passed. I will open a public hearing. Town council vote to appropriate $800,000 from retained earnings in water sewer fund transfer to water sewer capital stabilization fund. Councilor Tessity.
Thank you, Council President. Motion from Manager Marino. I move the town council appropriate from retained earnings in water sewer fund in the amount of $800,000 and transfer it to the water sewer capital stabilization fund or take any other action thereto. We are appropriating from the water and sewer retained earnings $800,000 to the water and sewer capital stabilization fund for the same amount. The current retained earnings balance is $1,480,852, less the $800,000 appropriation would leave $680,852 in the water sewer retained earnings fund after the motion. The water and sewer capital stabilization current fund balance is $1,131,800. After the appropriation, the fund balance will be $1,931,800. This also came out of the committee with a positive recommendation. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. It's coming out of committee with positive recommendation does not require a second. Not there yet. I'll open it to the floor for councilors for discussion. Seeing none, I'll open it to the audience. Honors. Close the public hearing and we'll entertain a motion from Councilor Romano to suspend council rules to take this out of order. Second by Vice President Swope. Any discussion on the motion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. There's a motion that we move that the town council appropriate from retained earnings in the water sewer fund the amount of $800,000 and transfer it to the water sewer capital stabilization fund or take any other action thereto. And again, as just was stated by Councilor Tassinari, this will leave a balance in the water sewer retained earnings after this motion of $680,852. It would create a balance in the water sewer capitalization stabilization account of $1,931,800. Is there discussion on this motion? Roll call please.
Council Costigan.
Yes.
Council Castaneri.
Yes.
Council Malott.
Yes.
Council Dimes. Yes. Council Romano.
Yes.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Yes.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Passed. Public comment. Mr. Morgan.
Hi, John Morgan, Precinct 4. I'd just like to ask whoever is responsible for the cross signals, the audio cross signals on Crest Ave only. Whoever we find is responsible for maintaining them, I would ask if they could turn up the audio signal so everyone is able to find it if they're hearing impaired or visually impaired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marcy Hamilton, Precinct 2. I want to thank the board for moving forward and getting this presentation for Girdlestone Tileston moving forward. It's been a long time coming. I think that we need to think of Winthrop in the 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and put the work in now so that we don't have the issues that we're having. The pipes are too small, they're crushed, and we need to understand that the DPW is doing a great job keeping the streets now free of ponding and flooding because of our town, because the residents in this area have been vocal. And I want to appreciate the councilors for moving this forward. I think with the pilot program and possibly a bond, we could get this done by 2027, because you know that I have promised that I will be sitting here until this is done. It's my property, it's a lot of Mark's property, and it needs to be done because we are taxpayers and we care about this town. I was born here, and people who have moved here care about this town, and we need to think for the future and spend the money now so that we can have Winthrop flourishing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Senator, Precinct 2. I want to talk about a little more infrastructure. There's been, in the last 2 weeks, in the Girdlestone Road area, some things have happened. I'll start with myself for one. I had the pleasure of having my granddaughter for 4 days while my daughter gave birth. Yeah. Anyway, so I get home from work and, Papa, can we go to the park? Okay. Of course, I say yes to her, and I take her in the stroller, and I can't get past the Marino house, the old Pat Marino house, the little white cottage on the right-hand side, because the tree and the sidewalk is only this wide. Okay? It doesn't meet ADA standards, all right? So I have to leave the sidewalk, and when this car's parked, I'm in the middle of the road with my granddaughter. Okay? That's unacceptable. Okay? And then, just this past Wednesday, at 6:30 in the morning, a gentleman was walking on the other side of the street and tripped over a raised sidewalk, and he fell, and he rang the doorbell of Ricky Baez asking for help. And he was giving him first aid and realized he needed more help, so he called 911. That gentleman went off to the hospital, okay? And then Beth, on the corner of Girdlestone and Marshall, says this nice woman comes down every day with her grandson in a stroller. And again, the same situation at her house. The sidewalk's only this wide. The stroller falls off 4 inches into her yard. She's afraid of being sued if that child gets hurt, okay? And then the killer, just yesterday, the nice couple at 66 Marshall had to leave the sidewalk again because they can't get past the Marino house because the gentleman had broken his leg and he's in a wheelchair. And then she has to struggle to pull him up onto the sidewalk after they get past that tree, only to contend with the next tree to get in her side yard, which she struggles to get the wheelchair in because that has direct access into the level that she needs to be on in the house. I sent you pictures, Council Swope, and I sent them in jest at that time, but we gotta start somewhere. We gotta start somewhere. We live in a very litigious society. The gentleman that fell, he has every right to sue the town, okay? Somebody with a disability has a right to sue the town over ADA. Do we need that? No. Let's be a little more proactive about this, and we can walk through any neighborhood in this town and encounter those very same problems, okay? It's ridiculous. We shouldn't have to be going through this. And then the reason I only had one subject originally, but I met with Mr. Marino, and this was born out of that meeting. All too often, we stand up here and ask questions of the council, and they die on the vine. You never hear anything about them, okay? I want somebody on this council to make a motion that whoever stands up here, that council representative is required to give them an answer to the questions they ask this council, so they don't die on the vine. So I don't have to chase Mr. Marino for 3 days to get a meeting with him. It was a good meeting. We actually agreed on a few things. So it's your job to answer our questions, okay? It should be a requirement when a question is asked of a person in precinct 2, for instance, 2, for instance, that representative gets back to you in a reasonable amount of time. And I think that reasonable amount of time is a week. So we need our questions answered in a timely fashion, and it's all of your jobs to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So this is more of an update than a comment. So I think it was around the 22nd of June, I emailed.
Haven precinct.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott Mahoney, right, precinct 3. So around the 22nd of June, I emailed the town council regarding Tweed Airport in New Haven, Connecticut. They've launched a residential indoor air program, and they are providing high-quality HEPA air filtration systems. These are medical quality, not the type you would pick off the shelf at Target or Home Depot, to 838 homes. So the airport is paying for those filtration systems for people's homes as long as they qualify. So I reached out to Massport, to Aaron Toffler at the MCAC. They have been trying to get Massport to initiate a residential air filter program like this for people's homes. They were unaware that Tweed was doing this. They were also unaware that there are multiple airports across the country who have similar programs, and they do this in conjunction with their RSIP program, their sound insulation program. So Aaron reached out to Tweed Airport today and is getting some background information that they can pull together, and that the MCAC can bring forth to Massport and say, here's our playbook, here's our program. We don't need to create this from scratch. They're already doing it. All they have to do is model the program. So if you have 838 homes between Haven and New Haven who are going to receive these air filtration systems, these aren't $200 units. These things go for an average of $1,000 to $1,400 a piece. A lot of money. The difference is these filtration systems don't just filter out the fine particles from jet fuel emissions, they filter out the gases that remain from the jet fuel emission. So it's a big deal. So Aaron said he would keep me posted about this, but this is definitely a program that Massport wants to do in conjunction with the RSIP. So I just wanted to share that back with everybody because I think it's pretty exciting for Winthrop. What Aaron told me today in his email, because I said, would we qualify for this? And he said, hopefully this will serve as something as a model for us. Based on our air monitoring data of Winthrop, I highly believe that Winthrop would be a prime candidate for such a program.
Thank you.
Yes.
Erin Barcelos, Precinct 5. I had seen one of the motions for that's going to be later today on something about like parking ordinances, and then it got me thinking, and I was thinking about, why do we have so many issues with parking? Is it because of zoning issues, or is it because of our residential parking permits structure? Currently on the application for when you apply for your parking permit for street, there are 6 spots. There are 6 spots. There's no limit to household permits. None. There's no limit. And on the application there are 6 spots. The only limit that exists is for the visitor pass, which is 1 per household, okay? So you could, in theory, have 6 cars registered in your name and have them all parked on the street. Per household. I don't know if you could have 12, I don't know if you have 18, because there's no limit. And each of those only costs $5. So could there be some kind of a study, or has there ever been a study or something to look into to see how many permits are issued per household, per precinct? Like how many households have 3+ permits per house? So we can actually see that versus the additional issues around the zoning pieces, right? So that we can actually get a real picture, because I don't know when I don't know if anything changed, but since 2024, it's been like this. I don't know anything before that. I'd have to do a FOIA for it. I don't wanna do that because I don't wanna bother Denise more. But just thinking about like, how can we look at it not just from one way? There's more, and that's gonna actually like cause people to talk and have conversation. It's not gonna be, oh, it's this reason only. No, there's multiple different reasons. Also, like, why not also just like, if a household has 2, they're $5 each, and then anything more than that be significantly more expensive, because that makes sense, right? Anyways, that's my thoughts. And also, whoever put the new crosswalks on Pleasant and Sunnyside Buchanan, they look great. Just be careful when it rains. They're very slippery. I almost wiped out on my way here. So, but they look great. So that's all.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Jennifer Jones, Precinct 1. I'm very happy for what's going on and them going forward in that area. One heart goes to you. But what's gonna happen for Morton Street? What's gonna happen for Bank Street? And all the other areas that flood? I haven't heard anyone talk or even whisper of any plans, any grant writing, any information at all to any of the residents of what the plan is. Is there a plan? Do you care about the other residents? And like I said,
I'm here for
oh my God, thank you. But what about the rest of us? What about the rest of us? My councilman? You say you all care about all of Winthrop. So where are all your plans? That's what I'd like to see. Or someone at least look up to someone who's speaking in their district and care about what's going on with them. I guess I'd just like to see that the council take issue to the residents in the area, not just
right. Squeaky wheel.
to all of us. Thank you.
Tom Dudarian, Precinct 3 and your beloved tree warden, and I have good news. The long-standing Revere Street project is coming to a conclusion, and the trees along the road are planted. There are about 20 of them. The trees, this is a kind of funny thing, the trees came from Canada, and they came through a nursery in Maine. Now, we're kind of wondering, the guys who are planting the trees are wondering, like, the trees that are Canadian are going to mind being here since they're Canadian. And we explained to them that Winthrop is a big hockey town, so it's okay. And the trees are happy. The trees are red maples. There's sweet gum. They have bright red colors. There's a couple of swamp oaks or Quercus bicolor that are beacon cultivars, so they're columnar. So I'm quite happy about those. We're going to put bags on them and keep them watered. and they're gonna last 100 years. I mean, you guys are all still gonna be here then, right? So I'm delighted with that. And Steve says we're getting finally a watering tank. Right? It's gold plated and with diamonds on it and full of water that won't turn green. So I'm happy.
Thank you.
Correspondence, Denise?
Nope, I'm good.
Committee reports.
Hey, Council President, we addressed all of the Finance Committee items in the public hearings. The 4 motions that we took out of order and passed all came out of the Finance Committee with a positive recommendation. We had an additional meeting prior to this for joint Finance Committee and Rules and Ordinance Committee. We discussed a change in taxi fares. That proposal that came to the council. We had some good feedback from Mr. Morgan for the Council on Disabilities, and concern that raising prices would be a burden to some of our residents. We didn't hear from anyone from Winthrop Taxi, but we did also hear from the councilors, Reardon, Dimes, Millar, yourself, President Lettieri, and Councilor Swope on what Winthrop Taxi does mean to the town. Does provide essential services, and it does. The drivers for Winthrop Taxi do provide more of a service to our citizens here in the town, and without those drivers and that service, we would be not as well off here in terms of getting from place to place, especially for seniors and folks who need to use those services. Not everybody takes Uber and Lyft. Not everybody has access to Uber and Lyft. Not everybody has a smartphone. I know that sounds insane, but that's true. We did not make a recommendation on this motion, but instead we voted to refer to the full council without a recommendation for the purpose of a public hearing in further discussion on the taxi fares. That's a summary of our joint meeting.
Thank you. Council Millar.
Rules and Ordinance, we actually had 2 meetings since the last time we met, one on June 11th and one on June 25th. We did have the discussion on the recommendations on town ordinances, which was the new ordinance, motorized scooters and electric bikes. It was actually, we looked at it, reviewed it, and unanimously decided that positive recommendation to move that forward. We do understand that it will take a public hearing before we can move that forward to council to have a vote on it. On the 11th, we also covered sections 1 to 4 of council rules and procedures. We did continue that because the discussion was not finalized. We just received the packet from the previous rules and ordinance to cover. We did not speak on this agenda about the commercial vehicle allowance for residential parking sticker. Did run out of time, and to be fair with everybody on the committee, that we want to make sure everybody was involved in it, and time allotment wasn't there either. So on the 25th, we actually brought back up the council rules and procedures again, sections 1 to 4, along with the previous Rules and Ordinance Committee, and a motion from Councilor Romano. We did review them. There was no recommendation from that motion because it was put out that I would like to submit one complete package.
We voted against the positive
Council
recommendation.
Romano, this is.
So, did make the movement forward with the council rules and procedures that would like to put forward a full package to the council before putting separate portions of it. There was a vote on Councilor Romano's motion, and it was determined we're not gonna move it forward. Because we wanna put a full package together, not just 1 through 4. And so we moved on from that. And then we did discuss small commercial vehicle allowance for resident parking sticker, and out of that discussion, we're all in agreement that we'd like to see a parking study completed. So we'll be moving forward with trying to get a recommendation from that. Cause it would much better to have an understanding of where we stand currently with parking.
Councilor Dimes.
Thank you, Town Council President. Myself and Karen Chavez met with P3 and KBA to pre-qualify the subcontractors and general contractors for the bidding of the new firehouse station. That bid will go out July 1st. There's a walkthrough for the interested bidders on July 7th. Also, some update of what's going on site right now as part of a change order with the demolition company. They've moved in French excavation to start removing some unsuitable material and bring in suitable material. And in addition, they're going to be placing that 5-foot stormwater pipe to connect through in between the old auditorium with the gym now and the new fire station. I have been talking to people in precinct 2 to let them know that they will expect some vibration from the vibratory rollers. The lifts will be in 6-inch lifts, I believe, and they'll be working on that for at least a couple weeks. Is that correct, Town Manager?
Yeah, it's probably a little longer than that, yeah.
So anyway, things are moving along nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Swope.
Oh, thank you, Joe. First is we have had a series of listening post meetings, and this was our final one for the season. I'm gonna think about how we're gonna handle those next year. But I do like the discussions. It's been an opportunity to listen to a lot of members of the town. We have had consistent feedback about communication. And I know we put out a website, I know we're trying to do better on that, but we still get lots of complaints. We get complaints about we got complaints about the lack of minutes that are on the agenda, so we can't just click on minutes and have them pop up. I've been doing, some others have asked for Zoom transcripts. I've done Zoom transcripts, I find them helpful for me. And also, when you do Zoom transcripts, you can also get a summary by Zoom, but you can also then edit those minutes, which are then sent out. But I do think we have to keep on this issue of communication because it's come up almost every single time in my listening posts. We also discussed strategies for more community engagement, but of course now that we're into the season, for tall ships as well as a fourth, maybe some of that will. But the suggestion that was brought up about new renters and new folks, about welcome packages, I think that's a great idea, actually, if we could do that inexpensively, just to welcome people in the town, if that's meaningful to us. Also, we talked about grant opportunities and transparency around existing grants. We don't even know what we do yet. So it would be nice to know what we have done. And then we ended a big discussion about the upcoming tree plantings. Thank you very much. They look great. I know that one was moved from Winthrop. Relocated. So, because the owner was pretty upset about that. But anyway, they look great. I think that's great. Public health and safety. This has been a different type of committee. And this also will be our last meeting for this season. We did meet on the 24th and to discuss performance oversight and continuous improvement issues. And the main focus was just to create an oversight approach that recognizes strong performance, ensures corrective action when needed, and try to institutionalize lessons learned across departments. Tony was there and we discussed the development of key performance indicators, which he's going to put into more into next year's budget cycle as it rolls out. We explored ways to recognize excellence. Is there anything we could do in the town? Town can to talk about how great some of the town employees are. This is not a question of financial, this is a question of recognition, and I do think that we could think about that more carefully. These meetings have been, I planned these meetings differently, and there are 4 of them, and they were kind of independent from the requests that we often get from the president of town council about things that we need to handle on public health and safety and public works. But we started with strategy and vision, transparency and accountability, long-term planning and interdepartmental collaboration, and then the final one was this last one, recognition, performance oversight, and continuous improvement. Those are areas where we developed questions for them. We talked about what the mission and vision is. I do think that's, in my way of thinking, that's a possibility for all of us in town council to think about how we could develop something like that so that people knew better what our plans were for the year and what our key performance indicators were in terms of the work that we do on the council. And I think that would also help some of the committees and some of the issues that we have in other areas. So that, but I do appreciate Tony Marino, town council, town manager Marino, and others who participated in this work, because I know they didn't have to. Thank you very much for attending. And so I just think we learned a lot about it, and it was a great discussion. So next year, it's not that the topics will be different, but I think we can explore more in depth on each one of those areas. So thank you very much for your attendance and your cooperation.
Thank you. And just before we move on from committee reports, I just want to make sure everybody's aware that, there's a lot of subcommittee meetings and other meetings going on, but we just have to be careful not to have a quorum of councils unless it's posted. If we post it before that, for whatever reason, somebody has questions or whatever, you cannot have a quorum of councils at a subcommittee meeting, but you can't post it. You can't just say there'll be a quorum. So just let everybody know that.
No, I just we say, so if somebody, she can't walk into my meeting if there happen to be 3 others or 4 others, is that right?
4, right. Either somebody would leave, or if it's posted ahead of time, and correct me if I'm wrong, either the town manager or.
As long as you post that there could be a quorum of the council, not to discuss council business, but they're gonna attend the meeting, you're just gonna post it as a public meeting, just with the public.
Well, should we do that then automatically, Jim? Because, so that we don't run into any open.
Public meetings? Aren't all subcommittee meetings public meetings?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, but if you're gonna have a quorum of the council, then you just let the public know. I mean, a lot of times there's only 2 or 3 councils that are on the thing, but we have, recently more councilors attend the meetings because they're interested in the topic matter. So sometimes you'll end up with 4 or 5, maybe even 6 councilors attending a meeting, so you wanna just let the public know. It's no different if the council wants to attend a planning board meeting, they'll say, okay, there's gonna be a quorum, potentially a quorum of the council that's going to the planning board meeting, just to let the public know, that's all.
Does that go in our does that go in our posting of the public meeting? So
It would be a separate posting for the council.
That's what I'm saying.
Agenda that for the finance subcommittee meetings, we sometimes have 5 or more councils.
Yeah, I think we just have to post it through Denise with the, yeah, we do it on the board.
Is this, if our last council is a letter too, and I know Councilor Milano was correct, is this a mass open meeting law, or is this?
It's governed by the open meeting law. Now, there are several different scenarios that were mentioned, and they each require different things. So if it is anticipated that a number of councilors are going to participate, they're going to discuss, and they may deliberate and come to a conclusion and make a decision. It probably should, no, it should be at least noted on the notice. If now, for example, there were to be a Conservation Commission meeting, and each of the councilors wanted to go, and let's say just for example, because we're currently here, and it was that particular project that was being taken up at a public hearing. Now, several councilors have represent areas where maybe flooding occurs. They may be able to attend that and speak on behalf as representatives of their constituents or on their own. That I would be more comfortable with if that wasn't necessarily advertised as a public meeting where the town council would be deliberating something and making a decision, because they're there in a different capacity. They're not on that side of the table, they're on this side of the table. So that would be less troublesome. But in one instance, if all the councilors showed up at one place, one time, on council business, then I think to err on the side of caution, because we've been dinged 1 or 2 times on open meeting law infractions, it probably makes sense to have a footnote or have just a tagline on the bottom that a majority or a quorum of the council may attend and may participate.
So, just again for clarification, if it's a ZBA meeting or a planning board meeting, anybody could go.
Right.
Because we're not going to be discussing that
Right.
and voting on that specific area.
Right. You're not going to be deliberating on that subject.
So are you saying the best way, just again, it's not any crazy things that we're talking about here, but just to play it safe on subcommittee postings?
You know, it doesn't hurt. I mean, it might be overkill, but you know, I think that you're not going to get in trouble by doing it. And there may be individuals who are going to read that and say, "Oh, well, my counselor may be there." And if you're engaging with the subcommittee and participating with those counselors who are on the subcommittee, now you're part of the discussion. And if you're contributing to something that may lead to a decision, now you're part of the decision making. So that's where you could get in the very dark
So
gray area.
unless you're taking a motion, then it doesn't matter. Unless you are making a decision.
A decision.
Does that mean a motion?
It doesn't necessarily mean a motion, but a motion definitely would qualify.
Yeah.
But if everybody walked out with the agreement that this is what's going to happen, you've already made a decision within the framework of the scenario that you draw, yeah.
So I think let's just put it on there, just post on everyone that is every,
Yeah,
all
you can't get in
councils-
trouble for doing that.
Sorry. I was just saying support of just putting in all of it, including town council subcommittees and any other multi-member body of the town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a one-liner on the bottom. I know a lot of them already have.
Multi-member, we don't have to worry about ZBA and planning.
I would still.
Yeah, but we don't, we're not making a decision that I'm talking on.
But what if, but I wanna make perfectly clear what you're saying, so if a quorum is in the audience, say they all happen to go to a planning board meeting, that's okay, even if they all speak?
Well, in that instance, those councilors are not making a decision on the subject that's before the planning board or the ZBA. So they're not deliberating on it. They're there in their representative capacity to let the Conservation Commission or whatever board it is, make them aware of what their constituents' concerns might be. That's all.
So, to follow up on that, so is what I'm hearing is it's only in meetings in which there's a counselor who has a vote?
If it's a matter that the council has jurisdiction over and will be deliberating and deciding on, then you need to do it. If you go to a Conservation Commission meeting, it's the Conservation Commission that's making the decision. So I would say, no, you don't need to. If you want to, you can, and you're not going to get in trouble for that. So, I mean, that's sort of belt and suspenders.
So the bottom line here is just, look, everybody can go to the meetings.
Yeah.
It should just be posted that
Just
potentially there might be 5 councilors
Just put
there.
it on the bottom.
Right.
One
That's
line
Yeah,
on
it
the
should be
bottom.
just
And I would say it sounds like what you're talking about is any committee that's advisory that would send a recommendation to the council.
Right.
But either way, I think we should put it on all policy making, non-policy making, there's no reason not to.
You just put it right, whatever form you use to create the agenda, just have that as part of, an imprint.
Okay, makes sense to me.
Okay, very good. School department report. School department meeting last night was 9 minutes. But it was a very brief meeting. It was just warrants, basically. School is out for the season. The only other topic that was discussed was the superintendent's contract, which is in its final 2 years of a 5-year contract. And the only thing that was discussed was compensation, which is finalized for fiscal year 26, which just ended, and going into fiscal year 27. And that was a very quick meeting. An update policy making was Board of Appeals, 312 Shirley Street. The applicant seeks a permit to convert the current lodging hotel to a 30-unit apartment building. Relief is requested to establish an apartment building in the BA zone, which does not allow pre-existing multiple units and a variance regarding parking. That has been continued, and I don't know if there's a date yet. It's in August. 50 Somerset Ave, the applicant seeks to reduce the original relief requested, and it was approved. And the 312 Shirley Street will be August 20th. Next Board of Appeals special meeting July 7th, 2026 on 17 Winthrop Street. The applicant seeks a permit to demolish and construct a 2 1/2 story single family same footprint. The structure is proposed to be constructed on a lot that consists of 24,714 square feet. Planning Board discussion on 210 Winthrop Street was continued. And the Board of License, La Esquina Restaurant, license hour until 1 a.m. for World Cup playoffs. Cinco de Mayo Restaurant, license hour until 1 a.m. for World Cup playoffs. The ABCC approved increased hours all expire on 7/31/26. Town Manager's report has been circulated. Town Manager has a couple questions, anything to follow up on, and then we'll let the council.
No, just as we approach obviously the big day, the 250th is this Friday, but obviously as we've seen there's going to be a pretty big heat wave. So let's say everybody, we've got the Thankful Day already, we've got the watering truck up there, so we'll have access to a lot of water. But people, we'll have cups there, but obviously if people want to bring their own water bottles, they can refill there. Stay hydrated. Lots of stuff for the kids to do. It is going to be warm. We have a lot of tents coming up to cover some stuff and keep it a little cooler and keep some of the areas cooler. But we're full steam ahead on that. And then obviously getting ready for the Sail Boston event on July 11th, since we're taking up most of the time recently. And certainly any questions, obviously the bid, as Councilor Dime said, the bids will go out tomorrow for the fire station. The file sub bids are due on July 29th, and the general contractor bids are due on August 12th. So we're hoping that shovels in the ground early September, and we'll get one. Excited about this one on the fire station.
If I just open up a question on that same topic on the fire station, just we've discussed many times of the Salucci oil tree there and plaque, and we hope to have a date.
Yep, we just got we're working with a date. We talked about doing it over the summer. Yep. Obviously the plaque is still there on the piece of granite. We'll take that out. We talked about not saving that tree. It's in pretty rough condition, but obviously sourcing a pretty sizable tree if we can, as large as we can get, and when we do the ceremony and the bench, and we'll work important to work that out. Yeah, you said you wanted to.
Open it up for questions for the town manager. Councilor.
Sure. So there's a lot of things about precinct 3 actually to talk about. First, I know it's in your town manager report, but if you could just speak more to like people who haven't read it yet about the plans are for the tall ships, specifically for people down the point.
Yep. It's July 11th. Anticipate early arrivals. People are going to want to get there early and get their spot. sort of like they do with the half shell in Boston and whatnot. They want to get there early and line up. So as early as 7 a.m. will be buses will be running. MBTA will be running their normal buses coming through doing the pickups at all the stops. So anybody who wants to, there'll be no parking for non-residents down past Town Landing. So we'll be monitoring down, there'll be full signs all up and down the street. We'll have police officers and tow trucks available if anybody violates that. But the thought process is they're going to be able to drive down, get down by Taft and Elliott and Otis. They'll be able to loop around there, drop anybody they want to drop off, and then leave and park somewhere else in town. Or if it's in town residents, they could walk back or Uber back or whatever they want to do. But we'll also be letting Ubers and Lyfts go out, drop people off, and come back out. That'll happen that day. We'll have shuttle bus services that we'll be providing from the town. There's 3 buses. 2 of them will be shuttling people where they drop off at Otis and Taft down to the screening area, down at the Deer Island Park entrance area. They'll be screening there and then letting people walk. And then there'll be what they call a clean bus on the other side of the screening station that will be taking people in that need assistance with walking or people with disabilities. We'll be able to take them in the shuttle bus and take them down to the viewing area, through the security gate and get down there. So it's going to be all day. It runs until 4 o'clock, and then it's just most of the people will probably be looking to leave town at that point. But we have the parking stickers for the people from Otis, Otis and Elliott, that way that's going to be detoured. People can come in. We've already had some people come in and ask for them. We'll also be available July 3rd at the 250th event. And then on July 7th from 5 to 7, we'll have a table out front of the Harbor Master's office, and we'll be, people want to come down and get those stickers there for anybody that's going to be in the detoured areas. Anybody else that's out in that area, though, I would say if you anticipate needing your driveway for a parking spot, the day of, use your resident sticker and get on the street and park the night before, because people are going to start showing up early, and even regular residents that might have parking stickers, try to park down there. But we're gonna, if you want to, utilize for friends and family to visit, and you got 2 extra spots in your driveway, then get your cars out on the road, leave them there, and the sooner we fill up those parking spots, it gets a little easier. We just manage the traffic in and out. So, but that's just something people should think about when they're planning, their festivities. If you're not interested in the tall ships, it's going to be very difficult getting in and out of town that day. It's going to be an inconvenience no matter what we do. So just plan accordingly. If you're interested in it, just stay there and enjoy the tall ships. If you're not, then maybe you want to make some other plans that day. So.
And then, if I may continue.
Yes.
Also, this isn't exactly in your time management report, but I know it's something we've had conversations. So is Director Calla, Representative Turco. Just could you speak a little bit about Yarrow Beach and the management we're currently doing right now? I know we're trying to follow DEP guidelines, but I get a lot of questions from people in my face that just want to know what we can share to them.
Sure. Well, right now, as we know, the areas are fenced off for the plovers. They need to, I believe fledge is the word, right, Steve? They have to fully fledge. So the babies that have been born, or then the hatchlings, whatever, they have to fully fledge and be able to, fly on their own before you can remove the fencing area. That hasn't occurred down in the area that we're in question. I know certain residents are upset about the end of the beach area that's fenced off, and I certainly understand that. But we know that the videos that people are sending me are the parents or the parent birds that lay the eggs. They're the ones flying around, and it's not the hatchlings yet. So we're hoping by mid-July that'll be gone, and then we can take all the fencing down. But we are following the guidelines that are based off the regulations, and we are looking though. And one of the things we talked about when we met with Rep Turco and some of the residents and yourself, Councilor Romano, out there. We had pushed really hard in the beach management plan in the beginning is to be able to take some of the vegetation out at the ends of the beach, because we knew that would be, if we make it a nice sandy area, that's what the plovers like, and they would get to the ends of the beach and we would leave the recreational area alone. DEP fought us on that and took all that language out. So we've asked Rep Turco if he could maybe put a little political pressure on. I resent him that language. He's got that language that was taken out, so we're going to try to get a meeting with DEP so maybe we can have an amendment to the beach management plan. So next season we can get out there in the winter months and actually clear out some of that vegetation and make it a little more attractive. No guarantee that they'll go there, but certainly the more attractive that we make it, the plovers could be on the outer perimeters, and that would make it a little bit easier to enjoy the recreational piece and not disturb the residents so much.
Thank you for that. That was great.
You're welcome.
I just have one, sorry, thank you. I just have one quick question on the parking sticker. So you're gonna move 250. Does anybody what do you need to bring a license?
Just a license, just to show that you live there. That's it. Just similar to 4th of July, like a lot of people get stopped and you have to show their license to get back out there. So same kind of thing. Just show us a license and we'll have the stickers. It's going to make it easier for the state police and the people around there to let people in and out as they need to go do their business during the day.
Councilor Tessler.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Town Manager, for your report. I was looking for an update on that, the spreadsheet that you had circulated probably 2 months ago now on the tracking of the grants coming into town.
Yeah, we updated the one on the budget. There hasn't been too much since then, but I can certainly update it. In whatever.
Yeah, maybe not for the next meeting.
Yep, the July 21st. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the picture that I included in this. We got a complimentary email from our friends from Scotland who were in town, staying at one of our Airbnbs, whether it was legal or not, I don't know. But they stayed in town and they had a great time. They sent us a picture of them in front of Black Scribe Barbecue. Even the day we raised the Juneteenth flag, some of our friends walked by that day. So they were in town, they had a good time, and they wanted to let us know they appreciated our hospitality. And I said, welcome back anytime. So,
Vice President Schwab.
Manager Marino, the city of Boston did find that they have a sister town in Scotland. And that came up in a listening folks meeting that I had.
Okay.
So we may, if you have their address, I may just.
I have their email address, sure. I can forward it.
Send them a little.
You got it. All right.
All right, and before we move on, I just want to thank Sarah Johnson, our finance director. Today's her official last day for the town of Winthrop. She has been an incredible help, incredibly supportive, incredibly detailed, oriented, and she will be sorely missed.
She'll still be around to consult.
Hopefully we can
As we need her next budget season, she'll be around to consult. But yeah, we're not getting rid of her altogether, but yeah, the day-to-day stuff.
But I do want to thank her for her service to the town. It's great. Business. The taxi fares are, we got the report from the finance committee. We're going to put that on the schedule and we could put a public hearing potentially on the next meeting. Right. Appointments, I have appointments from last meeting that was council privilege to this meeting. Now these appointments they're expiring today, technically. Town council accept the reappointment made by Council President Lettieri for the following policy making committees: Conservation Commission, Stephen Machinsky; Board of Appeals, John Young, Jason Wright, and Advancing District. Board of Assessors, Peter Gill; Historical Commission, those are all reappointments. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilor Tassinari, second by Councilor Dimes. Discussion.
Yes. So I would like to first start on when it comes to the two Board of Appeals people. One of them is going from an associate member to a full member.
Should I want to take these individually? Is that
yes, could we?
Okay, sure.
Please.
Town council accept the reappointment made by Council President Lettieri to the following council committees. I'd like to putting forward Stephen Machinsky for Conservation Commissioner. Commission. Motion by Councilor Tassinari, second by Councilor Dimes. Discussion on Mr. Machinsky.
I used my council privilege last meeting asking for an application, and I still have not gotten one. Was he not asked?
I don't know. Is there not an application?
Updated application.
That, correct me if I'm wrong again, in the charter, for reappointment, do they need
According to the current charter and the current language of the other documents of the council is bound by, it speaks to appointment. It does not speak to reappointment. Now the council has the authority to change that, but right now it only refers to appointment. So if the drafter, the framers of the charter and the ordinances and whoever drew the council rules and regs wanted it on reappointment also, they would have said it. I mean, the presumption is they would have said it. But right now it only says appointment.
Now, do we have I mean, I know Stephen is incredibly well versed conservation, and that has been there for over a decade. Do we have, I thought there was some, is there no paperwork?
No, I mean, I have his original, I could go back, paperwork, but no, not the reappointments. The newbies, there's applications and resumes and everything in there.
Councilor Romano.
I do have a motion later on that would require reappointments to also turn in applications as well. And I know Attorney Spletta, you shared with me a letter. I don't know if the whole council was able to see it, but it was your opinion about these reappointments that if they're not voted on, they get to stay in their seat. Is that correct?
Yes, according to section 10-2 of the charter, which also incorporates the definitions section 1-9. If there is a person up, if there is a position that's going to be appointed, the current sitting member, whether it's a board or a commission, stays in that seat, even if it's beyond June 30th, until that seat is filled. And that is obviously to maintain the continuation of government, and so that you don't end up in a situation where maybe there are 2 or 3 appointments or commissions expiring on the same year, that you now don't have either enough to fulfill the requirement of the statute, because some boards and commissions are governed by statute. You must have X number of members. And your local ordinance and rules and regs say that you must have Y number for a quorum. So I think it was in anticipation for a board basically going out of business until the new members had been sworn.
And that's different in a situation like that, the new business. If you have a situation like Board of Health where you have 2 committee members that just, they're done, they're tired, they're done.
Right.
A reappointment is different in that respect. They can stay if they want to stay again, like the chair.
That's a totally different situation.
This is a different situation, but Councilor Mann.
And I totally agree with your ruling when it comes to this, at least one from my reading of the charter. I don't want to fight you on that, but to me that does mean that if we don't do these appointments today, these people, they still get to stay in their seats until we do vote to reappoint them. Would that be correct?
Reappoint them or somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't see a reason to take this vote today. I would still like to see the updated applications. And
Let me ask you a question. If an appointment is not made tonight, they are still staying on the board.
Yes, according to 10-2, they
So
remind
in the
them.
new fiscal year now, the only thing that would change is if the council president found a new suitable candidate. Other than that, they would stay on.
Only the reappointed.
No. If they are not reappointed tonight, are they therefore there until their next term would end, or until?
No, it doesn't say that they automatically get a new term. It only says that they stay in the seat until either they're reappointed or somebody's reappointed, is appointed in their stead.
Okay,
So they don't automatically get 3 years.
Right, so my next question would be, is if they stay in the seat tonight, 5 councilors choose not to vote on it tonight, they would stay there until it is voted on. Correct? So
Yeah.
let's say it was voted on the next meeting.
Right.
July 21st.
Right.
At that point, if they did not have 5 votes, correct, they would still stay on until there was a replacement put forward by the council president. Is that accurate?
It is, because there's no exception to that 10-2.
Okay. Thank you. So, Council
I have a question for the council. Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Spletta, when you laid out the initial part of your argument about requesting applications for appointments, not for reappointments, why do we think that the original authors of the charter considered those two separate things?
Don't know. There are a lot of things in the charter that are nebulous, and I think you just need to make common sense judgments on it. I do know, though, that in many cases where a charter section refers to something that or someone, okay, or something that's going to happen in a certain instance, but later on down the list of sections, it omits that event in that section, where it say, like in section 1, it says that, whatever it says, the meetings are going to be held on Tuesday or whatever. And then it doesn't say in section 5, meetings of a committee are on Tuesday. The law says that if you state it in one area, but omit it in the other area, that was done intentionally, okay?
So we do mention reappointments somewhere else in the charter, but we don't mention it in that section where we require, or do we not mention reappointments at all?
I don't see reappointments
So
at
if we don't
all.
mention reappointments at all, then an appointment and a reappointment are the same thing in my eyes, if it's only mentioned in one way in the charter.
Well, what the charter says is that you interpret the meaning of the word as it is used and as it is defined, and it does define that you get appointed. Now, you can, as a council, adopt a procedure where now you can ask people, because in the charter it says that the council or a committee thereof may require a person being appointed to a policy-making board or a non-policy-making board to come before them. May require, that's mandatory. What it doesn't say is may require a resume, but you can call them in. That's the difference.
But if I could add on that, just because it doesn't require it doesn't mean we can't, as a council, make our own internal procedures requiring it, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the way I see it is the charter says we must at least do this and we at least have the powers to do that, but as a council, we can decide on more requirements.
Exactly. So what you're expressing is actually what I was just going to say, is that the charter presumes that you're going to propound rules, regulations, and so forth consistent with the charter in order to carry out the purpose of that section. So you could do that for your rules and procedures. Yeah.
As a legislative body, we have that right.
Yes.
Okay. And then and the other thing I just wanted to circle back, I know this was mentioned a little earlier in this conversation, but just to be clear, if these names do not get voted on tonight, the reappointment specifically, the people on this list will not see any effect to their current seats.
No, they stay on.
They stay on, and they stay on with the same exact powers.
Yes, because if I would expect, and I know that those two are Board of Appeals members, we have a meeting the town does on, I think, 7 July, and then you have one at the end of July. There needs to be members there. This board can't go, because there are ramifications for a quasi-judicial board not making a decision within like 65 days. Certain bad things happen.
So my point, and my whole point is, there's no reason to take this vote tonight. When it comes to worrying about these boards won't be able to fill their duties, not taking a vote does not affect these boards' duties or any of these board members for the time being. So I would like to request the council would ask
right now, Councilor Mata, right now there's a motion on.
I'd like to ask the council to withdraw their motion.
Okay, well, right now we have a motion on the table for a Conservation Commission, Stephen Machinsky. It's been made and seconded. We have discussion on that. You wish to make that request.
Yes, I would like the council to request to withdraw this motion until we get applications for these reappointments. It won't affect any of these people in their board positions, so I don't know why you wouldn't ask for it first before you can vote.
Well, first of all, again, you're asking for something for somebody that's been here in a position. These names are not just picked out of a hat. This is asked by the chairperson of that committee. We do not have a flood of applicants for any of these positions. We are not putting unqualified people in these positions. You could ask for what you want. I think it's a sign of disrespect to somebody who's been in that seat for 12 years. But you can ask. You need 5 votes. You have 5 votes, you get it. So Councilor Dimes.
Councilor, President Lettieri, is this for discussion? Can I make a
Yeah,
statement?
we're having discussion on the appointment of
Of
Stephen
Stephen.
Machinsky.
I served with Stephen Machinsky on the Conservation Commission for 3 years. He's been the longest running member of the Conservation Commission. I would like to know, Councilor Armando, what knowledge do you have of the Conservation Commission and the Wetlands Protection Act and the Massachusetts general law that regulates the Conservation Commission, that you would be able to ask pertinent questions of Stephen Machinsky if he came in front of council, or how you would be able to look at his application and know that he was qualified for a Conservation Commission when you've never even attended a meeting?
Why does the council even have if I could respond, why would the council even have the authority to approve any appointment in that case? I mean, we have that right according to the charter. I mean, I don't think that's too much of a hurdle to ask for a new application for reappointment. I don't mean to insult anyone. I will state it publicly here today to Mr. McKinsey. I'm sure he does great work, and I trust your word very much, Councilor Dimes, when you say stuff like that. That he's great.
I think this is unnecessary. And that-
Council Vice President,
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that many of us don't know what you know about the candidate. And I would like to have a chance to meet them when I haven't met them. And I don't think, because this is not just for this council, it's for the councils in the future. I mean, I know one of the members here that I've had many discussions with, I like very much, I certainly want him to stay. But I also think the council would be very well informed and better informed, let me say that, if indeed these people came before us and we had a chance to talk to them. I mean, I've been to a lot of Board of Appeals meetings, but I have a lot of questions. And so I would appreciate them coming before us, and I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't think they would mind, actually. But I don't want them to be also kicked off the Board of Appeals while we make a determination. But I do want them to come before us for sure.
okay, and I would just add to this. First of all, again, I think we owe a debt of gratitude to these people who are willing to serve this town. We have councilors, I would assume at this table, that just voted on an $80 million budget that never went to one finance commission meeting. And I guarantee do not know the ins and outs of the budget that they voted on. These are people, again, these aren't even people aren't necessarily picking. These are people that have asked them to stay on. These are people that the chairpersons of their boards have recommended that they stay on. We're just trying, again, to have a continuation of government. If we had 30 applications, it might be a different story. We don't. Again, there's a motion, I don't even know what your motion is. There's a motion made and seconded. Do you have a request or a motion to make?
Council Chester.
Question.
Yes, Council Chester.
Thank you, Council President. I don't want to see us lose good people in these seats on these policymaking committees or on the non-policymaking committees. I just don't think we should treat reappointments differently than appointments in terms of at least getting an application to make sure the folks are still interested so that the current council can review, because not all of us were here when they were originally appointed and saw that original application or original submission for their interest. I don't see why if the charter doesn't specifically treat reappointments and appointments differently, I don't see why the council should have a policy to treat them differently. I don't know if we should call every single person in for an interview, it might be a little bit too. It might be setting the bar a little bit too high for someone who's gonna volunteer their time on these commissions and committees. But at least to have something that the council can review, to say yes, whoever it is, Jason Wright, has been on the Board of Appeals for, and actually like having how many years they've been on the Board of Appeals. Been on the Board of Appeals several years, it's already worked through that board and has this experience, that experience, whatever. It'd be good to just reconfirm that for the people who sit on the council, because we're not, I bet there's at least one person on here, on this list, that's been in town government longer than some of us have been alive. So, just so that the new folks to the council can have an idea of who we're voting for and why.
I think it's also a good idea for councilors to do due diligence for anybody they're voting for, and it doesn't have to be laid out to them in a thing. It could be literally doing the work, calling the chairperson, going to a subcommittee meeting, looking at, go on the town website and look at some of them that have been there. Everything doesn't necessarily have to be spoon-fed. It requires a little bit of work. Can we get on with this? We have a motion, we have a second. Do you have a motion to make?
I have another comment that I think is pertinent.
Okay.
I would also, this goes part of it. I don't think it's necessarily asking to be spoon-fed. I don't think asking for an application is too much. And I agree that all the councilors should be doing their due diligence, but there's a lot of committees and boards in town, and a lot of them don't have updated meeting minutes, which makes it even harder for councilors to track. These meetings are supposed to be uploaded to WCAT. I know we voted on that in the past, but they haven't been getting uploaded yet, which I think is another thing that our town manager, town clerk, we should look into, making sure that they actually do get uploaded to WCAT as we voted on. I think that'd make it a lot easier for councilors to do their due diligence. But until then, I don't know what the issue is with asking for application, because and I will say it again, I don't mean this to personally insult anyone in town. I appreciate all the works that our various boards and committees do.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. I'm gonna ask for a vote if there's not any other councilor.
Can I make a motion to put this off?
You can't make a motion to put it off. You could ask the people to withdraw their.
Would you be willing to do
Withdraw the motion to reappoint Steve
Yeah,
Chinsky?
until we get a I would like to say though, what is the threshold according to the charter for this vote to pass? It would be 5 yes votes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's 5 yes votes, I would like to say it's 5 yes votes specifically. I would like to say I feel like I can't vote yes or no on any person until I get the application. So I will personally have to abstain from this kind of vote tonight.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call please.
Council Costigan,
For all those reasons, I abstain.
Council Tassinari,
Yes.
Council Milan,
Yes.
Council Dimes,
Yes.
Council Romano,
I abstain.
Council Reardon,
Yes.
Council Finn, Vice President Swope. I abstain. President Lettieri.
Yes, motion is passed. Town council accept the reappointment made by Council President Lettieri to the following policy making committees, Board of Appeals, John Young. Motion to motion by Councilor Tassinari, second by Councilor Dimes, discussion. Councilor Meyer.
So this is I lost the. So John Young is the one who's currently on the board, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Does
These are
anyone?
all reappointments.
Yes. But he's not the one going for full member, that's what I'm saying.
He's not going for it, it's
Yes. I would just like to ask the Board of Appeals, what is the quorum for the Board of Appeals? How many members are on the committee? I guess.
I can answer that. For that, 2 years ago, the town of Winthrop accepted the statute that increased the number of Board of Appeals members from 3 to 5. And in a 3-member board, in order to issue a variance or a special permit or relief, you needed 3 for 3. For a 5-person board, you need 4 out of 5. So quorum would be 4.
Okay. That's good to know.
Any other discussion?
I'd also like to say, for the same reasons I listed earlier, I'm gonna have to abstain once again.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Council Costigan,
Abstain.
Council Tassinari,
Yes.
Council Milan,
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano,
I abstain.
Council Reardon. Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Abstain.
President Lettieri.
Yes. So that does not pass, so Mr. Young will stay on the board, on the ZBA until I find a suitable replacement.
I don't necessarily
Yes.
would like to find a place, I would just like the application, and I would be open to voting again. But that's your call, Mr. Council President.
That's true. Thank you.
It's his
No,
call.
I just have some clarification. I thought he stayed on the board.
He does.
Does stay on the board.
And it's not like I don't want him to stay on the board. I just would like an application.
That's fine. If I could choose to bring an application back, or you could say either way, but I mean, it would be much better and cleaner if you brought an application back, it was approved before.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's also true that it's the council president's distinction if he wanted to make the reappointment in the first place. So he's the one who initially brought this up, and he can bring it up again or choose otherwise. That's entirely your power.
All right, town council accept the reappointment of Jason Wright to the zoning board of appeals and also advance to a full member.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilor Tassinari, second by Councilor Dimes. Discussion. Councilor Lamar.
Yes, so what does it mean that he was an associate member? Did he have voting privileges before
Yes,
this?
yes, he did. Associate members are defined by chapter 48 and also defined in our ordinances. And there are certain cases where members may not, a regular member or a full member may not be able to make the meeting, so an associate member would sit in. There are also cases where a member who ordinarily would be sitting on a case would have a conflict of interest, maybe it was a neighbor or so. So the associate members, when they sit, have full voting powers and full authority to decide, deliberate, and to make a decision.
Same reasons above, I shall abstain again, just to let you all know, just to stay consistent.
Thank you. Roll call.
Council Costigan.
Abstain.
Council Tassinari.
Yes.
Council Milan.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
Abstain.
Council Reardon.
Abstain.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Abstain.
President Lettieri.
Yes. That motion does not pass. Mr. Wright will stay on the board. Let's see the board replacement. Board of Assessors, Town Council accept the reappointment by Council President Lettieri of Peter Gill to the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Tassinari, second by Councilor Dimes. Discussion. Councilor Mann.
Yeah, I'd like to say, I do know Peter Gill, and I quite like Peter Gill, but that doesn't matter. I still can't vote without an updated application. It's no disrespect to former President Gill and all the great work he's done for this town. I just want to make that very clear tonight.
There's 6 votes to count.
And I hope if this vote in any case doesn't pass because of abstentions, if that happened, I would hope the president would not appoint someone else in his stead. But that's
The president has no intention of appointing anybody else in these people's stead.
I
mean, the fact that Mr. Gill is as well as many of these other people, you are not gonna learn anything from a resume or an application from Mr. Gill that you do not or should not already know. But I appreciate your comments. Roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Under the principle and the forgiveness of Mr. Gill, I abstain.
Council Tassinari.
Yes.
Council Milan.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
I abstain.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Abstain.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion is passed. Town council accept the reappointment made by Council President Lettieri to the following policy subcommittee and committee. Policy making committee. Historical committee, Judy Gorno.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Council Parsonelli, second by Council Dimes, Council Lemon.
Yes, for the same reasons above, I shall abstain again. Once again, nothing personal to any of these people. I just hope that we get applications in the future.
Roll call, please.
Council Costigan.
Abstain.
Council Tassinari.
Yes.
Council Blah.
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano.
Abstain.
Council Reardon.
Yes.
Council Finn. Vice President Swope.
Abstain.
President Lettieri.
Yes. Motion is passed. New business, town council refer TSAC one-way on Court Road. This I have, some of the residents, I've been thinking about asking this for many years, and just going to move this to TSAC to take a look at any potential thoughts they might have on this.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, that's because someone had asked me which direction one way. Well, again, that's not my call. And this, just to be specifically clear, Court Road is kind of crazy because it passes Circuit.
Yeah, and Lauren.
Passes Circuit, so this would be for them to look at it from the top of Circuit all the way down to Pleasant. I would think, if just, I'm not a professional traffic person, but I would probably think of this as going from the top of Court Road down to Pleasant, because the parking would remain on the right side. Where you wouldn't have to, DPW wouldn't have to rip up signs to move them from one side of the street to the other. Now, TSAC can come back with any sort of recommendation or trial or whatever, but I just think community traffic-wise and for public safety, it's just something to take a look at. And in that same vein, Councilor Finn, who isn't here, had called me, and I live right down the corner, similar thoughts. Refer to TSAC to look at Lincoln Street and Brookfield Road. We have Brookfield Road, Lincoln Street, and Beale coming together. Beale is a one-way coming towards Brookfield, so
No.
it wouldn't be-
The other way.
It's one way going the other way, right? So it wouldn't be a situation where I'm looking for a four-way stop. Just looking at Lincoln Street has no stop signs going either way, up or down. Brookfield has a stop sign going down towards Beale. So I just think it's something to look at, to potentially look at additional stop signs. And I know there are all kinds of guidelines and regulations regarding stop signs. I'm sure that they will at least take a look at this and give us an update. Vice President Sorrell.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, because when you come down, when Lincoln comes down, you can't see, there's something about Lincoln, I think it's the hill.
No, you can see all right.
Well, I can, from the, not, I can see from Lincoln, but I'm talking about when I'm coming up Brookfield. I can't, when I look at the left, I think it's because people park there or whatever, but I cannot see, so I think it's a great idea that we think, at least study it.
It was definitely this winter with the amount of snow we had and
Yeah.
the snow mounds, it made it more obvious to me that, oh, geez. And it's, nobody's doing anything wrong, they're just going straight without stopping. I just normally slow down because you get nervous getting to an intersection, but again, just something for them to take a look at. And I encourage councilors and members of the public too, if you have questions on other potential, I mean, we could sit here, I'm sure, for 3 hours and talk about potential one-ways or changes or size of the road or whatever. So I think, I would like to have more input from constituents on that as well.
So, Council President, if I could, just for anybody who's noticing this, it's a new closed caption feature that WCAT is rolling out tonight. So I just that's why the word's popping up. So if anybody was curious, I talked to Mike Cabral earlier about it. He said this was going to happen tonight. So
Thank you, that's great, thank you very much.
Someone else is half-assed, is that?
Yeah,
on the-
that was earlier.
Thank you.
It's in the transcript.
Couple of new business items that will be referred to Finance Council. Town Council appropriate $1,666,000 cost of sewer main rehabilitation on Winthrop Street and other identified areas. That will be referred to Finance. Town Council appropriates $1,500,000 for cost of water main replacement at Winthrop Street, and that will be sent to Finance. Now we have some motions by, I'll put the floor to Councilor Romano. I think that's
Which one?
there's 4 of them total, correct?
Yeah, I have,
I think the
spoke to
first-
the ocean, to the motion, just let me know which one you want me to read first.
First one would be
Policy making first? Yeah. Okay, text the motion. I move that all policy making, multiple member body appointments and reappointments shall have an application and a resume submitted to the council. This application and resume shall be given to the council within 48 weekday hours of the appointment being filed to the clerk of the council. A vote shall not commence on any candidate if the council has not had at least 48 weekday hours for the town council meeting in which the vote on the candidate is taking place to review the application.
Thank you. That's not bad at all. Gonna get referred to rules. All right, and hopefully they will get back to us at the next meeting on that. Councilor Romano.
Non-policy making?
Yeah.
So I move that all non-policy making, multi-member body appointments and reappointments shall have an application submitted to the council. This application shall be given to the council within 48 weekday hours of the appointment being filed to the clerk of the council. When I wrote this motion, just to point out, I did not put resumes. That's a distinction between non-policy making and non-policy making. That's something I'll probably get to something they can discuss, but I'm not sure if resumes are necessarily needed for non-policy making, needed for policy making as they would be for non-policy making, in my opinion, but that's up for further discussion.
Your motion will be sent and then there could be
Yes,
discussion.
yep, I just wanted to get that out there, because
That would be
I noticed on the agenda it said non-policy making application and resume, and the motion doesn't mention resume.
That will be referred to, no appointment.
This parking, the next one's parking.
You wanna read that one?
Well, we'll skip the back one, 'cause you.
Yeah, so the last motion was I moved to require Jason Wright and John Young, the two current Board of Appeals candidates for appointment, to appear before it at the next town council meeting that they can physically attend. Both candidates should be prepared to answer questions from the council as they investigate the appointment as is allowed in the Winthrop County Charter, section 2-10. A vote shall not commence on the appointment of either of these two candidates until they appear before the council and the council is allowed to ask them questions. This is something we are allowed to do under the charter.
Yeah, and we'll just have, we don't have to have a subcommittee or anything on this, we'll ask the council clerk to send out a.
Thank you. And do questions even in advance of something like this? Or would the council be allowed to?
Council.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to check that. Thank you, Council President.
Vice President Swope?
This is a motion about parking, that the town council moves to suspend all new parking variances, whether currently pending or planned, until the planning board reviews and the town council votes to adopt a new parking ordinance. The draft ordinance is currently under review by attorney general. And there is, let me clarify that, when I say the draft ordinance. And not on the committee, Karen's committee, but Shavitt's committee, but when we discussed it, we saw that there were holes in the parking ordinance, so if I am wrong, or you were wrong to send it to you, because I don't know if you write ordinances or not, if you don't, then I don't know who does. But I know parking, and both parking and zoning were so big that we decided that it would be best that we not even try to tackle those, because parking is like 25 pages and God knows what ordinances are, so we thought it would be better not to do that. On the other hand, because we haven't addressed it, and because it's been so long on the table, we are now getting flooded, of course, with a lot of issues about parking overall. Bottom line, we don't have enough parking for the cars we have, so we've got to figure it out.
Okay, so before I send this to a committee, I would like to ask Attorney Cipolletta if this is something we have jurisdiction.
Yeah, two things. The Vice President is correct. The council did not ask me to review this. I did receive what was sent to the ORC back in, it was sent to the ORC back in October. I met with the ORC on December 3rd, 2025. The clerk sent it to me on Thursday night, and I believe it has a notation up in the right-hand top corner that said, ordinance review committee. So I think we're all talking about the same one. I did actually write a memorandum on that, and I did make comments, and the council should have it. I finished that on Sunday night and filed it on Monday.
Did you give it to? Give it to you?
I gave it to the president, I gave it to the town manager, and I think the clerk has it as well.
I would just like to
And I
say,
I think council.
you sent it to me, I don't think the whole council ever got it sent.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I know that may not necessarily you, but I think that's something to point out that
Yeah,
it should have definitely been sent.
once it leaves my hands, I'm not really sure. I don't put a tracker on it. I don't know where it ends up.
And then if I. Yes,
But
something similar to this motion, if I could, Attorney Zapata.
Did we get a clarification on this?
Well, I can comment on the motion. The motion's illegal because 40A, all variances are governed by Chapter 40A. 40A, Section 10 says that only the Zoning Board of Appeals has the right to control variances. We're in the terms of the motion, as I have heard it, but I haven't read it, I don't have it in front of me. It seeks to stop the progress of any variance that has already been granted, if I understand that. Was that not what was first submitted to the?
Pending or planned,
Pending.
but not already. It's in the planning stages, but it hasn't been voted on.
Well, if it's pending, they're already grandfathered. Because if you get first of all, you'd have to change the ordinance. And if you have an application in for a special permit, a variance, or an order of conditions prior to the first date of legal advertising, you've solidified your position and would not be subject to whatever changes happen thereafter. Secondly, under Chapter 40A says that only the ZBA can control variances. It also says that that no municipality may make an ordinance or a bylaw that conflicts with Chapter 40A, Section 10. 40A, Section 10 grants authority to the Board of Appeals to grant variances. This motion does not have the strength of an ordinance, and even if it were an ordinance, it would be illegal. So there is probably another way to do this, and I think maybe have the full council take a look at the memorandum that I did over the weekend, and then maybe send it to whatever committee would be appropriate. But to say that you can't apply for a variance as a homeowner would be an interference with their property rights, number one, and may constitute a taking.
But can the Board of Appeals turn down all variances?
They can. The Board of Appeals is unique in that it is a quasi-judicial board. It's not a committee and it's not a court, but it does have the powers of a judicial board. So they are lawmaking, not only are policy making, they are lawmaking. They decide on things that come before them. So because those powers and authority are granted through the state by Chapter 40A, they are in a unique position. Not even the town council and the city of Peabody, I believe, attempted to have the town council take, Peabody was one and Newton was the other one. They tried to take the power of variances and grant them themselves. Supreme Judicial Court says they can't. You can't interfere with the duties that were, imposed upon the Zoning Board of Appeals. Only the Zoning Board of Appeals can do it. The town council cannot interfere with Chapter 48. So anything you do, if you voted this, it's not an ordinance, it would be irrelevant. If you adopted an ordinance, it would be illegal. And anyone who would want to apply for a variance then would have an action against the town because you're interfering with their property rights. If they've already been granted a variance, or if it's pending, you're stopping them from completing the process to improve their property or to affect their property. So I think maybe take a little step back with this one, because it could put the town in real jeopardy and I would tell the Board of Appeals, you don't have to abide by this. You know, they don't. You can't say that you're putting a moratorium on variances, because it flies in the face of Chapter 48 and it's illegal.
Teresa Blair, write it so it is legal.
I'm sorry?
Write how would you recommend we go about?
Yeah, let me give, I'm
So help
always,
us, help
I'm willing
us
to
write.
help.
Fine.
But tell me where you want to get,
Okay,
and I'll tell you how to get there.
fine. What we need in this town right now, until we can have a full parking study, until we understand what we've got here, we need to stop this continual change. I mean, the Board of Appeals does continue to give a lot of parking variances, and frankly, there are not many people in this town that right now can even park in front of their homes. They're trying to find places to park. So until we can figure out how we can straighten this out, because it's a mess. I mean, Aaron mentioned something about having, have a family and have 6 on-street parking things. We have a problem with that. So it was just a matter of trying to temporarily restrain, that's what I'm trying to get at, the number of permits we're giving so that we can figure out how we can better plan traffic and parking here.
Well, you probably do that with the resident parking things, but you cannot do it with variances, because state law, it overrides us.
Well, then maybe this is for him to come back to us.
So you're saying you could do it with resident parking, now every resident.
No, I understand.
Pay an excise tax, you could tell them they only have.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is where your authority lies. Your authority lies in creating and running a resident parking sticker program. That's within your purview. And that's left to your discretion in your good judgment. Variances are dictated by the state. That is not within your purview. That's all I'm saying. That you can tinker with the resident parking sticker program if you'd like, or you could have a committee do it. You have the authority to do that. Whether it's a good idea or not is a whole different debate. But you can't interfere with Chapter 48.
Okay, so
Vice President.
So that's all I'm trying to get to. I'm just trying to figure out how we can do it. I mean, I thought that was a possibility, but if that's not, that's fine. In terms of a resident parking rule, can we restrict the number of resident parking stickers we give out?
I mean, I looked at, I didn't fly over and just hit the wave tops of the resident parking sticker program and didn't do a real deep dive into it. I know it exists. I don't know what the criteria is for a resident being able to get 2 or 3 or 4 stickers. I don't know. But I did jot down when it was being discussed here a little earlier that if you're going to do something, and as a matter of fact, I think Aaron brought it up, that you may want to take a look at your parking sticker program and the permits And I think maybe the suggestion was that some people were getting permits that shouldn't be getting them, and I don't know that that's true or not. But maybe that you should tie your parking permits to the number of parking spaces that are required by zoning and how many off-street parking spaces that house already has, in determining how many stickers that they're allowed to get. I'm not saying that that's going to work. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you what you may want to think about.
Well, that's what they do at Somerville.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to get at because we're building so many multi-family homes. What they do in Somerville is that you can have as many off-street parking spaces as allowed by the actual length of your building. So if
the frontage.
And I wrote that.
I know.
I think I wrote that to you. And so that's what they do, but I don't know if that's possible. It sounds as if this is gonna take us a while, President Jerry, to think about. Maybe we could ask that attorney. So we'll talk with whomever you think is appropriate and start working on something that would help us get to a more understanding of parking while we do agree to a study and follow to.
Why would you be okay with sending it to public safety committee and having you have
if he'd be willing to work with me.
Right, so I'll refer this to public safety.
Let me have a choice, but this is related. I know you just said the motion, but there's two things I want to talk about. First, I do want to say I'm in support of a parking study, as was mentioned. I know that our rules and ordinance have talked about this, and I believe that they're planning on making recommendations with specifics about a parking study. So stay tuned for that. And then furthermore, we're talking about variance. I'd like to ask Attorney Cipolletta about the use variance, which I know was sent to the planning board. They were supposed to have a meeting. I believe it got canceled due to a miscommunication or something like that. And I don't think they've been on it since. So, do you know where that is right now?
I don't know where it's currently residing. I did write at the council's request an opinion on it, and just to refresh, the only variance that Chapter 48, Section 10 allows the council, in this case, the council, to get involved with is the use variance. That's the only one. And it says specifically that unless it is accepted by the town and engrossed into its ordinance, then you don't have a use variance. So that's moving along appropriately. I don't know where it is. If it's in rules and ordinance.
No, it's not a rules and ordinance. It should be with the planning board.
Oh, it's with the planning board. Now they need to have, just say that, no, maybe I should ask first. Does the council had a public hearing on that yet?
No.
Waiting for the planning board. Well, the planning board has X number of days.
Yes, they're aware of that.
To do that. And if you don't have a recommendation, then you can move forward and have your own public.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how many days it's been lying dormant at the planning board. And I know that they had 1 or 2 meetings that they had to cancel for lack of quorum.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's coming up at their meeting in July, and they're aware of it.
Yeah, you may want, again, you may want to consider, just for the sake of expediency, having a joint public hearing. That way you don't have to have one later, and that will cut out probably 30 to 45 days. I mean, just a suggestion.
Councilor Lemon?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to try and get that days. I'd like to schedule a public hearing if it's possible, so that's also something worth looking into. I'd like to ask Attorney Cipolletta something going back specifically about rules and the Rules and Ordinance Committee and its procedures, if I'm allowed to at this time. So I made a motion in the last Rules and Ordinance procedures to send a motion back to the council with a positive recommendation. That motion failed. Does that mean it still gets sent back with a negative recommendation? Is that how that procedure works?
Well, this is what I heard. I made a note because I knew this was going to come. Yeah. You and I talked about this. But Councilor Millar, who I believe is the chair of that subcommittee, I think said that he didn't want to, the committee didn't want to kill it, they just wanted to send it all up as one package. It sounds to me like it was a deferred.
No.
I don't know what the
If I can
rules and ordinance did with
Wait,
it.
we're not gonna get into too
No,
much here,
I
because now
just-
we're getting
if I
far
could
beyond
just-
it's
if I
been
could just have
3
30
hours.
seconds of
You
your
have
time,
30
that's
seconds
okay.
left, yeah.
Okay, so the exact word of the motion was, I move to send this motion to the council with a positive recommendation. That motion failed by a vote of 2-1. Does that mean that it's now should be sent back to the council with a negative recommendation?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
if that motion wasn't sent to the subcommittee,
Well, that's when I wrote this in opinion overnight. If it was sent, if the council voted to send it to the subcommittee, and then the subcommittee
a negative recommendation.
negative, they have to report it back. But if it fell out of thin air, or they just started talking about it, then no. It has to follow the procedural steps.
Okay, and that was my question. Thank you, Attorney.
And
And if I could just ask, is there a way for that motion to be resubmitted to the council, or is it just dead?
no, you could get 4 councils and you could submit any motion you want to the council.
Would it have to go back to the committee? If the committee already moved on it, but the committee already voted and rejected it?
Yes, it's,
So it's, okay.
okay, I have 2 motion, so for left, I have 2 appointments. One is non-policy making, council president has appointed to the following non-policy committee making committees. With the cultural council, Marilyn Frank, Eli Brown. That one is done. The other one is a policy making committee. Town council accept the appointments made by council president Montiero to the following policy making committees. This is the Board of Health, Lisa Stefano and Heidi Fantasia. I know those applications have been sent through.
Yes. Well, first we should make the motion, right? So motion.
Is there a motion made
I'll
by
make-
Council Milano, second? Is there a second to the second by Council Fossil?
Yes.
There's a motion made and seconded.
I appreciate that these applications have been sent in. I have no problem with either of these appointments, so. And the difference between this and what we talked about earlier is applications. So, yeah, that's it. I will support these motions.
Let's see, yeah.
Yeah,
They're in the
they're in the,
They're in the packet.
Yeah, I'll be taking these.
Resume,
No, that's it. You didn't vote.
so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Council Costigan,
Yes.
Council Designeri,
Yes.
Council Milan,
Yes.
Council Dimes.
Yes.
Council Romano,
Yes.
Council Reardon,
Yes.
Council Finn, Vice President Swope. Yes. President Terry.
Yes, motion carried. Public comment?
Was that for both Board of Health and?
Yes. Yeah, the other ones were not policy making, those.
So this was all
Yeah.
one big one, okay.
Mark.
Mark Sun, Precinct 2. I'm sitting here listening to these discussions about applications and what have you. And what everybody lost sight of in this whole process is you're changing a designation of a planning board member from an associate to a full member. And yes,
CBA, just for.
What?
CBA.
I'm sorry. Because you're changing the job, I think you should be asking for that application because you're completely changing the job from an associate to a full member. And yes, not everybody knows this person. This person should come before the board and should be heard from. I know that they've been there a long time, but again, they should be vetted because it's a new position. It's a permanent new position for them. And they have even more authority on that board. And so therefore, they should be vetted. And my second question is, when we appoint people to these positions, do we do query checks on people? For every board members and things like that? And if we don't, why not?
Karen Travis, Precinct 2. Director Calloway had to leave, but he just wanted me to remind everybody that it's regular rubbish pickup. There is no holiday pickup this week, and that the transfer station is open, regular hours on Friday closed on Saturday.
Thank you. Just one more. And this is probably Manager Marino. Do we have an anticipation of numbers of people coming into Winthrop for the Tall Ships parade sale?
I think on the last one, there was 3,000 to 4,000 people.
And
I know the
do
number.
we expect more for this one?
Well, the last time they did it, it was raining, so
Yes.
yeah,
The
I
number-
anticipated there'd be some more.
Yeah.
It is predicated by weather, I know that, but do we anticipate a larger influx?
They've got an area that'll hold probably 5,000 people, so I mean, that's max, it could be around there, yeah.
Yeah, alright, okay.
Anything
I'll be going to New Hampshire.
Okay, motion to adjourn public comment, public relations on July 3rd. Again, as we had talked about, celebration at the Winthrop Landing for the 250th, 12 noon. It will start at noon, boat parade at 3:30, shuttles start at 11 a.m. and shuttles end at 8 p.m. There's a shuttle schedule. Online?
Yeah, it will be.
Shuttle schedule will be on the Winthrop town website. July 4th, obviously, Hogwarts Parade at 144th annual. And 9:15 p.m. there will be the fireworks. And July 11th through the 16th is Sail Boston, beginning at 7 a.m. Taps Ave will be closed to all traffic after Oda Street. Shuttles will be available. Parking stickers available. July 11th, I think, is the date, though. It won't be a week-long process.
it's a one-day
The 11th is
viewing.
when they're coming in. It's a one-day viewing. Seeing no further business in front of
The next regular scheduled council meeting will be the next meeting because we already had the.
No, we have
July
next
23rd.
meeting is July 23rd.
That's the next meeting, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that all that, they don't show up on the 7th.
I don't think anybody's coming. So. Seeing no further business, I consider this meeting.
Thank you.